All right, let's try this again. Good evening, everyone. All right, my name is Marco Carrion. I'm the Mayor's Commissioner of Community Affairs, and thank you for coming this evening. So once again, welcome to the Bronx. So I'd like to bring in at this time, I know he's around the corner, your council member, Andy King. And your mayor, Bill de Blasio. So before we begin, I'd like to invite Caitlin McIntosh up here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Everybody's still ready?
Yep, they're ready. Okay. All right. You're good to go.
Hi, my name is Caitlin McIntosh. I'm 7 years old, and I go to PS 41. I just like to welcome the mayor to the 12th district. And now I'm going to be saying the Pledge of Allegiance. So can you join me, please? Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Caitlin. All right, so before we hear from some of our special guests, I'd like to thank our co-sponsors for this evening, the North Bronx National Council of Negro Women Child Development Center. All right. The North Bronx Seventh-day Adventist Church. Community Board 12. Very good. Also, I'd like to acknowledge American Legion of Co-op City Post 1871. The Jamaican Progressive League. The 47th Precinct Council. Good. Rain Senior Center. The JASA Senior Center. And our host of this evening, the Academy for Scholarship and Entrepreneurship, whose principal, Saniva White, is here. Very good. So I'd like to hand the mic over to Councilmember Andy King to give some brief opening remarks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, family. Good evening, 12th District. It's a beautiful night, and I just want to say thank you for each and every one of you for coming out and braving the 27 degrees that's outside. But God had a plan for us to come together to just have a nice community conversation. I'm looking forward to a spirited words that'll come from you because God's in charge and he's watching over tonight's conversation. I know we'll have some great questions, we'll have some good answers, but more importantly, we'll have a wonderful, controlled conversation. So I'm looking forward to tonight, and thank you all again for coming out. And more importantly, I got to give a shout out to my granddaughter, Caitlin McIntosh, for doing a beautiful job with the Pledge of Allegiance. God bless the council, girl. And again, welcome our great mayor of the city of New York, Bill de Blasio, to the 12th District. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. Next up, I'd like to invite your Senator-elect, Jamal Bailey.
Wow, you guys must have got the memo to applaud for me a little bit loud because I'm the freshman. So I guess it's official now. I'm going to be your next state senator. I'm really excited about that. I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. No separation in public and state, I'm sorry, but I have to give all thanks and praise to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I want to thank my speaker and my council member who did an amazing job in assisting me on this run. But most importantly, I have to make sure that I'm giving credit to what's going to be my predecessor, my outgoing state senator, Ruth Hassel Thompson, who did a wonderful job. And I'm really eternally grateful for the mentorship that she provided me. But the most important thing about this election was you. It was about you coming out and exercising your rights to vote. And we're facing some troubling times ahead. I know we're going to get to those things, but I just wanted to let you know that we stand strong in the 12th district, in the borough of the Bronx, in the state of New York. We're going to stand strong, everybody. I need you to keep that resolve right now. We're fired up and ready to go right now, but we need that resolve to continue for the next 4 years and beyond. Are you with me? Are you with your mayor? Are you with your councilman? Well, let's make it happen, 12th district. Thank you all. God bless.
Thank you, Senator. Next up, your DA, Darcel Clark.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Mayor, Councilman, my councilman, because you know this is my district too. So I'm happy to be here. I'm here as your DA, but I'm also here as a resident of this community. And I thank you all for being here because it's important that we be here to speak out on behalf of our own community. Thank you to the NYPD, which I work very closely with every day. And I thank you all for that. All right, we're coming up on January 1st. Will be 1 year that I'm in office. And I've just worked really, really hard with this community, the Bronx community, to make the Bronx safer. And that's my job, and that's my charge, and that's what I want you to make sure that I do. So on behalf of the 1.4 million people in the Bronx, and on behalf of you in the 12th Councilmanic District, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you, and happy holidays.
Thank you, DA Clark. Next up, I'd like to invite your Assembly member and the New York State Assembly Speaker, Carl Hasty.
Thank you, Marco. Let me thank all of you. I love all of you too. Even those of you who live in Co-op City who can't vote for me, I love you anyway. Remember, I graduated from Truman High School, so I have a lot of love for Co-op City. But let me thank all of you really from the bottom of my heart for giving me what is going to be my 9th term in the New York State Assembly. I wouldn't have been able to achieve where I am today without all of you. And just look at what this community has. And I know the mayor is taking notice here that lives in this community. Our senator, the assembly member, our council member, and the district attorney is what this community has put forward. I have to say this, they're going to answer the questions on the local things, but I just want to say a couple of things about the two gentlemen that are sitting up here. You know, while I'm away and up in Albany and touring the state, I couldn't find a better partner and a friend to really watch over things while I'm here, so I really just want to give a lot of credit to our councilman and give him another round of applause. And then I have to say, dealing with the mayor, you know, he and I have a very close relationship because one of the things is, you know, as I say, when we're dealing with things in Albany in terms of the budget, I always say to the press, I have to go back home, so I got to make sure that the mayor of the city of New York is happy. But most importantly, and for those of you who weren't at when we made the announcement about the community center, I want to say tonight what I said there. From the time that I've even gotten involved in politics, even before I was elected, from Mayor Dinkins to Giuliani to Bloomberg and now to Mayor de Blasio, so many people talked about bringing that community center here, but this mayor is the one who saw it through for it to happen. So, Mr. Mayor, I just want to tell you, thank you on behalf of all of the people in this community for really stepping up and giving this community something we have been asking for almost 30 years. Thank you. Oh, and happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I love you all.
Once again, our speaker, Carl Hasty. And now, I introduce your mayor, Bill de Blasio.
Thank you. It is a real pleasure to be here. It may be cold outside, but it's warm in here. so many people who care about the community and do something about it. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you. This is why New York City is great, because people get involved and they make a difference. Now, I want to tell you, I've had a number of town hall meetings around the city, and you end up coming away from them feeling good because people are making that difference, feeling good because people ask the tough questions, but they ask them from the heart. They ask them about the things that matter to themselves and their families, and that is an honor to be here and be a part of that dialogue. I want to talk about Andy, who will be our moderator and host this evening, but before I do, to our other special guests, I want to say Speaker Carl Hastie has defended this city in Albany with extraordinary strength. Extraordinary strength. I have to tell you, it is not easy. I've watched blow by blow. And he has had a lot thrown at him, but he never forgets where he came from. And that we appreciate. And I will tell you, he serves the whole state. As he mentioned, he's traveled the whole state, and his conference represents the whole state. His conference is bigger now. Congratulations to you for that. But in the end, one of the things I experienced when I call the speaker and I talk to him about the needs of the people of the city, I never have to translate for him what it means for everyday people, because he's already right there. Whether we're talking about affordable housing, we're talking about our schools, we're talking about safety, he feels the lives of the people, not only of his district, but of this whole city. And there are many, many times when the only reason New York City gets a fair shot in Albany is one man, and it's Carl Hastie. So thank you for sending him there. I want to thank your crime fighter, and she has been a tremendous partner. I can't believe it's been already a year, Darcel. Time flies. But Darcel Clark is showing us already extraordinary things. We have been honored to be your partner. And let me say to everyone in the Bronx that when Darcel Clark needs something to keep people safe, she is not shy about asking for it. I can't believe I brought my wallet to this meeting. but the fact is that her requests have been righteous. We have been honored to support you every step of the way, and we already are seeing more and more happening to make this borough safer because of the good work you're doing. Let's thank District Attorney Darcel Clark. And we want to thank our new Senator, Senator Jamal Bailey. We welcome you. You're going to see it's a tough place you're going to represent the people. But I can tell you've got the energy, you've got the vision. He has the charm as well. Can we agree? He has the charm. Maybe he will melt the hearts of the upstate Republicans. Who knows? Let us pray. And now to thank your councilman. So Andy and I have known each other a long, long time. The truth is, where's Neva? Neva, you here tonight? Usually if Neva's around, you hear about it. There she is, Neva Schillingford, your first lady. So Neva and I go back to the 1989 David Dinkins campaign. We served on the campaign staff together. I didn't know you till much later, okay? But if Neva likes you, you're okay with me. So, but Andy and I have worked together on so many things, and one of the things I really, really appreciate, there are a lot of people who are public servants, elected officials, and they talk about young people. Everyone's got a good speech about young people. There are very few who actually spend a whole lot of time with young people and give themselves to the work of uplifting our young people and supporting them. And for Andy, that is a life's passion. That is really what he came here to do. And getting elected didn't change that. This is his commitment. And I want to honor that, because if we all in public service managed to do what you do, so many of our young people would be on the right path because they would see leadership by example. So let's thank Andy King for all he does. I only wish Andy King would learn to dress with a little more style. Kind of boring and conservative. Anyone can wear an all-orange suit, okay? or turquoise suit. You know, it's not so special. Or a turquoise orange combination. Some days I'm at City Hall and Andy walks in and I kind of stop in my tracks because I can't believe the color combination I'm looking at, but I admire it. You are a strong and secure man. Okay? Now, I want to say just a few things in the beginning, and then we look forward to opening up. These are always wonderful conversations. We want to get as many people involved as possible. And it's going to be my pleasure to just talk right to you about what we're doing and hear your concerns and speak to them. But first, I want to say we got a wonderful group of people over here. And as I say at every town hall meeting, the town hall meeting, well, yes, it's good to have a dialogue with the mayor, but you want to have a dialogue with these people too, because these are the folks who run so many of the agencies that affect your lives. The people who, and obviously our police leadership, the folks up here do the hard work that every single day affects you and your family. So if you have an issue about sanitation or transportation or parks or whatever it is, or obviously for NYPD, at the end of me, you can feel free to come up, address your issue to anyone you need. They will stick around. They will have that conversation. And I always say, they are dedicated public servants, and they will stay here all night if you want them to. So I say that because someday people are going to take me up on that, and I'll be able to say, I told you, stay all night. They will be here for you. Look, I want to say a few things. The work we're doing in this administration now, it's been almost 3 years. The focus is, first of all, we've said from the beginning, fight income inequality and fight inequality in all its forms. And try and make this a city where there's opportunity and where all 5 boroughs matter. Because for too long, there was too much of the focus on Manhattan. For too long, there was too much of a focus on some who were doing well and not everybody else. So we have tried in so many ways to change the reality of this city. And we're seeing the beginning of the change. One thing I'm very proud of, I care deeply about opportunity for our young people. And so we said we're going to do things differently when it comes to our schools. We want to create things that weren't there before. We started with pre-K for all our kids. And that's an example of a fundamental change, something that people used to, in too many cases, either have to pay for or not have at all. Now is a guaranteed right. If you have a 4-year-old in New York City, we have a seat for you for free for your 4-year-old, period. We want to fix our school system. We want to make it work in every neighborhood. The history is not that. The history is some schools in some neighborhoods worked well and others didn't, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. We have a vision called Equity and Excellence to lift up schools all over this city, all over this city. And we're seeing it start to work. The graduation rate in our schools is now at the highest it's ever been in New York City history. Over 70% of our kids are graduating on time. Test scores are going up. We're seeing a lot of the right signs. We've got a lot more to do, and we know it. And we're not going to rest. This is my first passion. Just like I said, Andy focuses first and foremost on the youth of our city. My #1 passion is fixing our school system and making sure it works for all our children. That's what we're going to be devoted to. Now, we also know for any city to work, it has to be safe. And I want to take this opportunity to say, every time I look at what's happening with today's NYPD, they are doing remarkable things in terms of making every community safer. And I want you to take an opportunity to thank all the men and women of the NYPD who are here. It is amazing because I want to give you just 2 examples. The 4-7 precinct, for many years, was considered one of the toughest precincts in New York City. I have to say that you can see some amazing change in this precinct. Homicides are down 11% compared to last year. That is an amazing thing unto itself. And in April this year, we had the largest gang takedown in the history of New York City. 120 gang members were arrested. right here in the Bronx, and that means, and we have to think about what something of that magnitude means. It means so much violence is averted, so much crime is averted, lives are saved. And also what the NYPD is doing, which I have such admiration for, is they're showing that they can disrupt a lot of the cycles of violence that existed in the past. And when you disrupt those cycles of violence, you get a reset, you get an opportunity to do something differently. Now what the NYPD is doing under Commissioner O'Neill is focusing on neighborhood policing, which means a relationship building between police and community. And I have to tell you, this vision is about people having actual human, personal relationships. Officers working a small area of the community so they can get to know the community residents by name, have a personal relationship. I started to go around the city talking to our neighborhood policing officers, and they would tell me how much information and how much support they're getting from community members. And I started talking to community members, and they said, look, I never had the experience before of a police officer giving me their cell phone number or their email and saying, just call me anytime you want, tell me something. That's a change, and it's one that's going to make us safer, and it's one that's going to bring police and community together. And it's part of what we have to do to protect this city, both in terms of safety, but also in terms of the quality of who we are as New Yorkers. This city, everyone knows, we've gone through our share of challenges. Everyone knows this is a place that's had ups and downs, and now we have a new challenge, which is it's a place that's become more and more expensive, harder and harder to live in for that reason. And other things we're focused on is building much more affordable housing, including in this community. There are 500 units of affordable housing on the way in this community that will help families to have affordability. We're doing more and more to stop evictions. Let me tell you, this is so important. We are now giving people who face illegal evictions free lawyers. And since we started doing this, it's an amazing impact. Since people got a lawyer, we have a 24% decrease in evictions across New York City. And I want to take as a public service announcement here. If you know anyone in your life who is threatened with an illegal eviction or is being harassed by a landlord or is not getting heat or hot water, all you have to do is pick up the phone and call 311. And if we can make a legal case, we will give you or that person a lawyer for free. That's as simple as that. And we need people to defend their rights. So please spread the word, because we want to keep people in their homes. So these are the kind of things we're doing. And they make a huge difference in people's lives, and there's so much more we're going to be doing, working with Councilmember Andy King and the whole City Council, and obviously working with all our other partners. I'll conclude with this before we open it up. It is, as you heard a moment ago from the senator, it is a challenging time for this country. It's a challenging time for New York City because of what happened in the election, and I spoke to that in detail today. But let me say something very simple, is that we're going to stand by the people of New York City. One thing you know, New York City stands up for itself. And as some of you know, I had the occasion to meet with the president-elect last week. And I have real differences with him, but I kept it very respectful. But I said, you need to understand that a lot of the things that you've put out there have created a lot of fear, a lot of confusion. Families are worried about being torn apart, having a loved one deported. People are worried about having to sign up for a religious registry if they happen to be Muslim. People are worried about stop and frisk, a policy that did not work under the previous approach, a broken and unconstitutional policy that held us back, and that somehow we're going to be forced to use it again. And I said very clearly, this doesn't work for the people in New York City. And by the way, we, like every other city in the country, we get to decide what works for our own people. And one of the most important things I said, and you never know when you're having a conversation with anyone, what registers, what doesn't, where there's agreement, where there's not. But I said, on the question of our immigrants, who are the core of the history of this city, I said, we can't be in a situation where our police officers are turned into deportation officers. And I said it for all the reasons of belief and morality, but I also said it for a very real and practical reason. And I urged him to talk to our Commissioner, Jimmy O'Neill, and to talk to police chiefs around the country. I said the police need to have a bond with the people they serve. They need to have an open line of communication. There needs to be mutual respect. Who is going to report a crime or act as a witness if they think that's going to cause their deportation? Correct, nobody. So we can't create that rift. There's 500,000 people in the city who happen not to be documented, and there are many hundreds of thousands of family members that are their loved ones who also happen to be documented. So it's a huge amount of the people here. We're finally, after years and years of hard work, and so many people around this room have participated in this, the hard work of making this city safer. It's taken a quarter century, but everyone together has achieved it. The hard work of building a bond of police and community. People have worked through challenges. We're making progress. This is exactly the wrong time to go backwards. And we're not going backwards. So I will finish by saying, rest assured that what we have as New Yorkers, our values, our approach to life, the way we live and let live. This town is not perfect, but you get on a New York City subway train, and there are people of every faith, every ethnicity, every nation, and somehow we work it out, right? A little metaphor for what we do every day. No one in Washington, D.C. is going to tell us to change who we are. And I thank you all for believing in this community and believing in this city and being an example of the greatness of New York City. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as we're getting ready for why we are here tonight, but before I do that, I want to say this to you, Mr. Mayor. I want to say thank you, first of all, to your team who've helped organize Commissioner Marco Carrion. He's been a great help putting this together, as well as Harold Miller, Alexis Walters. I want to thank all your team from the mayor's office. Give the mayor's office team a hand for helping out tonight. And I have to give a shout out and thank you to the King team with the Council 12th District office team for all the work they've been doing to give service here in the 12th District. And I know there's a First Lady of the city, Shirlane McClain, and she's been working to make sure those who are having issues with mental health or whatever, she's been standing tall and been a strong advocate. I want to say thank you for her advocacy and helping us in the council pass legislation to protect those who have had issues when it comes to mental illness. And while I just thank the First Lady of the city, I cannot go without, because I got to go home tonight. I got to thank the First Lady of the 12th District, Neva Schilling, for a king. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you.
You are a wise man.
So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, a number of you said you were prepared to ask questions, and we want to answer to the best of our ability here. The mayor's brought a dynamic team to be able to answer those questions. But we want to get as many questions answered tonight. So that means what? That we're going to follow a strict protocol. Everyone will have an opportunity to ask one question. One question. No, we don't want the presidential speech. We don't want your prom date speech. We just want the question. Now, if you get on your soapbox, I guarantee you Sandman Sims will tap dance out here and snatch you off and snatch the mic from you. So we don't want that to happen. So we want to be able to give everybody an opportunity so we can all go home feeling that our questions were asked and answered. So I see somebody way in the back. Oh, what's up there, brother? So we're going to take people as you raise your hands. I'm going to go around, and I'm going to just go clockwise in no particular order. Just going to go clockwise, and I'm going to start on this way right here because our season golden. So I'm looking in the room. I'm seeing all our neighbors here from whether you're Gun Hill, Edenwald, Eastchester, Batechester, wherever. So the first question comes from here, from one of our seniors, the Master President of Rain Nereid, am I correct? Senior advocate. So first question.
Your Honor, in the budget that Cuomo gave to the city, I remember that they said they had like maybe $550 million to the MTA system. I was reading the newspaper the other day, and I noticed that on December the 13th, there's going to be a meeting in the Bronx at Post College about a fare increase. My question is, if we receive so much money, and I know they put in kiosks all in Manhattan for the subways and everything like that, but why is it that we have to go to another subway increase, and as a senior, with accessory also, some of us cannot afford that extra quarter? May I have your comments, please?
Absolutely. Thank you. So I've already said that, the city of New York contributes to the MTA. The MTA is run by the state, MTA is run by the governor, but we contributed. It's about a year ago, we agreed to add $2.5 billion to the MTA budget, as you referred to. But my concern has always been, and we were very strict about this, if we're going to contribute, we want to make sure that people in New York City benefit. Because for a long time, a lot of us felt the MTA focused its attentions outside of New York City. Now that we've made this contribution, I think it is particularly important that the MTA slow down and think very carefully, because people are still having so much trouble making ends meet in this city. And you're right, a fare increase is going to hit a lot of people, a lot of working people, a lot of poorer people very, very hard. So I have said to the MTA, I think they need to look at alternatives to a fare increase, considering the resources we've given them and the other resources they have. And I think they should be very, very careful before making that decision. Go ahead.
Part two.
Now,
That was A.
it's supposed to be one question per person, but I'm going to...
You open up the door on that one.
I'm going to defer to her simply because of her seasoned status. Go ahead.
As we know, the MTA took over Accessoride. And I remember that Stringer, our controller, did an audit on the MTA for Accessoride. And we found out that Accessoride was pocketing, or they wasn't reporting, or they wasn't minimizing the money they should, and they took us for a ride. And so therefore, Accessoride should help and put some of those funds back. Because why should I have to pay $3 for a one-way fare when they claim they pick up people and they do not? They claim they have so many rides and they do not.
You.
You got me.
I got you.
I love you. Thank
Love you too. There's a huge number of complaints about Accessoride, as you said, run by the MTA. We have seats on the MTA board. We don't run the MTA, but we're trying to push the notion that for those who do not need the whole van and could, for example, be in a vehicle, that there may be other ways to get vehicles that would be more reliable and more available to folks who need them. Other folks, of course, will need the whole van if they happen to have certain disabilities. But Accessoride as is now is obviously not efficient. I don't know enough, to be honest with you, about whether money was used right or not. I just don't know. But I can tell you we're going to try and push for reform of Accessoride, and particularly to diversify it, because, again, for some seniors, they could get a ride with a different kind of vehicle, and it would be a lot quicker and a lot easier. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next on this side, I'm going to go in the back. I'm not going to stay right in the front. Sir, right here.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Clifford Oporo. I'm just trying to also emphasize on what she has just asked. I'm one of the members of New York City Senior Citizens Advisory Committee, well back in the administrations of Edward Koch and Devin Dickens. I'm part of those who actually designed and implemented the Accessoride. What Accessoride is doing this day is not what we had in mind when we implemented that program. In fact, the fare then wasn't a compulsory fare. It was a contribution. If you cannot afford it, you still get a ride. It was to take care of the physically challenged, particularly the senior citizens. But these days, just like she said, they are taking them for a ride, and that doesn't feel comfortable. I wish the mayor could do something good about this. Planning that program during the time the AVA law was implemented was really a very big relief to the senior citizens and to all physically challenged New Yorkers. But the purpose and the objective of that program seem to have been defeated.
Okay, you're on the verge of a presidential speech. You cut off just in time. Okay, and yes, the focus is we do need reform of accessoride. Again, we're going to push the state and push the MTA for that.
So again, ask your question. Ask your questions. So I'm going to come to this side. So when I come back to this side, you'll ask your question. So we're going to go to one of our young folks here.
Hi, hello, my name is Amir, and my question is, I understand a lot about history and about a lot of the fighting that has been going on between colored people and non-colored people. I want to know if you ever think that we will ever be able to come as one and not fight anymore.
Beautiful question. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do. I know it's hard because you're right. The history feels like a weight. But I do. I do. I've seen so many examples of people overcoming the past and overcoming divisions. And again, I think in this city, all the time, we show an example to the world of people finding ways to move past all that. And, you know, I've seen it in my own life. I have no doubt that it's possible. Now, I think it takes work. And I also believe that each successive generation is less burdened by the past. You know, I talk to my kids are 19 and 21, and they don't have a lot of the baggage. They were not brought up with a lot of the biases surrounding them that I think previous generations had to deal with. And I think your generation is going to bring even more. So, yes, I am hopeful. I think it's doable if people work at it. I think, you know, if we see, and this is one of the things we're very aware of at this moment, given what's happened in this country the last few weeks. One of the things I said today, I gave a speech, and I said, if anyone sees bias or hatred, they need to do something about it. They need to speak up. They need to report it. And that's part of how we show we will not tolerate that in New York City. Well, that's part of how you make the change, when people stand up for each other. It's part of how you overcome the past. When someone stands up for someone who doesn't look like them, but they don't believe they should have to be a victim of bias or hatred. So I think we can do it. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. That's one of our smart people from the Bronx Youth Empowerment Program.
I knew it.
All right. I want to come to this section right here. So can we, hello, Mr. Burke.
Good evening, Mayor, and thank you for coming to the 12th District. On behalf of River Bay Corporation, that is 50,000 residents of Co-op City. We are strong here, 15,372 homes. We are the largest affordable housing complex in the world, and we are your constituents.
Indeed.
And we know that affordable housing is an important priority to you. So we come to you to ask for the city's support, not just the city, but city agencies. We are afflicted with several things that are outrageous for us and that are breaking our back, one of which is an unnecessary fee for abating asbestos. And it has been like a hot potato. Everybody just passes it on to the next person. We need a serious sit down with the city to discuss this unnecessary fee, that this affordable housing complex, to remain sustainable and successful, cannot continue to pay. So I'd like the opportunity, if you can't address it tonight, to be able to have a serious meeting to discuss it with the powers that be.
I appreciate that very much. And look, it is the largest affordable housing complex in the world, and it's something we're very proud of as New Yorkers. I'm very proud of all the good that Co-op City has done for generations. And I agree with you. You have a tough problem there, and one that I've looked into and I find complex. I wish I had an easy example. So I will accept very happily what you're suggesting. I'd like you to come down with whoever you need to City Hall. I'll put together a senior group of people at City Hall. I'd like to see if we could resolve this once and for all, because I think it is so complex, it's best to put everyone in the room and decide it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to come around this way, then I'm coming around on this side. Oh, we got someone in the back. Well, since they're the host, high school, the young lady right there.
Mayor de Blasio, my name is Colleen Smuda. On behalf of Academy for Scholarship and Entrepreneurship, we would like to know how are you planning to reform New York City high schools so that students are better prepared for college and real world, for instance, SAT prep, family planning, and life skill courses.
Wow. Okay. The next generation is already surpassing us. Okay. Let me try and break this into some quick pieces, and our Deputy Chancellor, Dorita Gibson, is here, and she will save me at some point in this. What we're trying to do, first of all, just to bring up our high schools in general. So I'm going to just start with this core point. I mentioned the initiative we have called Equity and Excellence. Simple concept. Have we had equity among New York City schools? Have all our public schools been equal? Have all neighborhoods been treated the same? No. Are our schools at a satisfactory level now? No. And then on top of that historical challenge, are we reaching the level of excellence needed for the modern reality and the modern economy? No. Some places we are, but in general, as a school system, we still are not where we need to be. So equity and excellence says we're just going to have to very aggressively raise the bar everywhere, which means putting in the investments we need. And for some places, giving them a lot to help them catch up because of the past. It also says doing everything we can on a universal basis. So we did pre-K for all. Every single child equally qualifies. We have a vision now over the next 10 years, every child will be reading on grade level by third grade. One of the most important indicators of educational success is if you're reading on grade level by third grade. We've set that as a standard for the whole city. Every student has to take algebra by middle school. Every middle school student will be taken on a college tour of a New York City college for free to start to expose them. There'll be more guidance counselors to provide support. Every high school will have advanced placement courses, not just the chosen few. Every high school will have advanced placement courses. So to the part of your questions about how do we raise the standards and how do we improve the ability of our high schools to both graduate children, graduate them college-ready or career-ready, those are the building blocks. Graduation rate now is over 70%. We want to get it to 80% in the next 10 years. Also, we want a diploma to mean a lot more because we all know very honestly that a lot of young people got a diploma, went, for example, to a CUNY school, and then weren't able to do the level of work. We want a high school diploma to equal college readiness. That's what you deserve. Now, I would have a lot of trouble doing all this except for a guy I know named Carl Hastie, who has made sure that when those in Albany like to give lots of education funds to upstate New York or to suburban areas, which I'm very happy for them to have more too, but he always makes sure that New York City gets our share of that, which is allowing us to do these things. So that's the part of how we bring up the quality level and the college-going culture. Now, you also asked about family planning. I wish I knew enough about family planning in our schools. There's some things I'm not an expert on, but I want to see if Dorita or who's here from health. Someone was here from health, I thought.
Right there.
Okay, so family planning. Dorita, you want that? Or health department, you want that? Health department. Because I'm going to learn something now. I don't know enough about our family planning efforts in schools.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Bedell. I'm representing Commissioner Dr. Mary Bassett, and you touched on an area that we're actually working on very strongly in the Bronx and the city, which is to ensure that the schools, so I hope I'm not speaking out of line to DOE, and with DOE, we work in very close partnership with the Office of School Wellness Programs to provide quality, comprehensive health education. That means good health education, including good quality sex education that works and helps children understand their bodies and their choices, helps them, there's a whole lesson, come talk to your parent, helps them understand what their parents' values are. And additionally, we are working as the health department, hand in hand with Department of Education, to bring more school-based health centers into the high schools and bring the kind of care that teenagers need and deserve right into their schools. So a lot of good work going on. I have to say parenthetically that some of it is threatened by the changes that may happen in the federal government. But New York City has made tremendous progress in bringing family planning knowledge and access to skills and real care to teenagers all over the city. And I'm confident that we'll be able to continue to do that even if we take a bit of a hit in the next 4 years. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Doctor.
Very diplomatic, Doctor.
All right. Also, I would add, in the city council last year, we provided funding for over 60,000 youth to get them on the right career track, to make sure all our youth across the city have summer jobs. And we've transitioned more money to make sure that we have all-around jobs. So we're going to be helping in the city council, along with the mayor, to make sure that our young people have that opportunity. And when you talk about family planning, I hope you're talking about raising your nephew or your nephew. I hope you ain't figuring out anything else. All right, we're going to come on to this side. Right there, Brother Norbert, how you doing? Right here, this young man right here.
Let me say good evening to everyone, Mr. Mayor. My name is Norbert Bryan. I'm a cab driver for 25 years. And is that representative them in the New York side of the Bronx right here. That there's a lot of things going on since I take office. A lot of rules coming on with taxi drivers. So many rules that probably next 2 years is that lot of people who decide to drive a cab to make a living cannot do so. So many rules. If as soon as a TLC pull you over, it's ticket, and you don't get the ticket like you would get someone from the officer and you know what it's all about. You get it through the mail. And is that when you go to court, you have to pay something. They find something to just take away the money from us like that. So when I just start drive taxi, whenever I used to do wheelchair, is that sometimes if over here, I never pick up a person with a wheelchair to put in the cab. But now you got to do it. You got to pay $75 for that.
Okay, let's get to the question now. There's a question about how do we reduce the fines and all that, the tickets?
Not the fine, but the rule. So many rules coming on. So the rule is like every 6 months there's a rule and rule, this rule and that rule coming on like that. And is that the officer them are here? Is that if they pull him over, right? I can identify myself to them and tell them what I do in the community. You always see that a TLC officer when they come to
so what we're going to have to do is we need to get your question. And
I
Mr. Mayor,
think we can use that as a question. Someone here from TLC, step forward. Let me start, and then I'm going to pass it to you. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Juba Santi. I'm representing Commissioner Zoshi of the Taxi and Limousine Commission.
Good. So let me start and pass back to you. So look, we have tried in a lot of agencies to get rid of regulations that we thought were outmoded or ineffective, and to also reduce fines. And a lot of folks who run small businesses will attest to the fact that we've reduced a lot of the fine levels. I think the difference that I would say immediately with TLC is that safety is a lot of what underlies those regulations. So, we have had a lot of issues with public concern about public safety in the whole for-hire vehicle industry, not just yellow cabs, but every kind of vehicle. So that's where a lot of our energy goes. And on that, we're going to be sticklers. But to the question of how we try not to burden a taxi cab driver or owner, can you speak to that?
Yes, so in terms of the rules, that rules are there for people's safety and to make sure that there's enough enforcement and making sure that people are following and doing what they need to do. In terms of being able to change or alter rules, anyone is allowed to submit a rules change suggestion to the Taxi and Limousine Commission. As well, we also have monthly commission hearings where it's open to the public and you could come and testify on the various rule changes that we have. So you can talk more afterwards about your particular situation, but there are opportunities to address if there are any issues in terms of rules and the amount of summonses that you might have received. So.
Okay, we'll follow. Let's go back. We're going to go ahead in the back there. Right there. Black Beret, Co-op City in the house.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Currently, there are 1,700 seniors in case management programs citywide waitlisted for ISEP home care. What is being done to address this urgent need?
Donna, you want to come up? So you're talking about 1,700, say again, on the wait list. You're familiar with it. Our Commissioner for the Aging, Donna Corrado.
So there's currently a wait list for case management home care, and we're actually trying to, in many ways, work with our case management agencies to eliminate that wait list and to manage that wait list in a very responsible way. So I remain hopeful that those wait lists will be open, and the reason why we have a wait list is because we're oversubscribed. So when we turned on the spigot, we just turned it on a little bit too much so that we now have to monitor it a little bit more closely. But I'm hopeful that in due time we'll be able to take those people off the wait list.
Thank you for your answer.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. We're coming to this side. Blondie, all right.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Mayor de Blasio.
Stand up so we can see you.
I'm holding my granddaughter, so.
Okay, don't stand up.
All right. I want to commend you on Vision Zero, but can you tell us the statistics of its success? Because all I see are lines and lines of single cars, people standing waiting to cross the road. So is it a win-win or is it a win-lose?
No, there's no question it has worked. It's been a tough time the last few months. There's no question. The numbers have not been what we want them to be. There's been a lot of horrible accidents. We've lost people. But if you look at from the beginning to now, so it's over 2 years, the first year that we implemented Vision Zero, we had the lowest number of pedestrian deaths in over a century. And the second year got even better. Third year, as we've gone into it, we've had some trouble, but it's not because the idea doesn't work. I think, unfortunately, it's just been some bad situations. But the basic idea, slow down, right? We've reduced the speed limit in a number of areas. We've put in speed cameras around schools. There's a lot more NYPD enforcement of speeding and failure to yield in intersections. We've changed the design of a number of intersections. These ideas work. And I can tell you a lot of drivers also know that all that is happening and is starting to improve behavior. We're going to have a lot of, around the holidays, a lot of police checkpoints when we think there's problems of potentially people using too much alcohol. They will see lots of NYPD presence to remind them of the dangers of doing that. So it's the right design. We have a lot more to do, but I don't have any doubt that we're on the right track.
Thank you. In the hat, Ms. D.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councilman Andy King. On behalf of my colleagues here as an early childhood education director, we've partnered with you in the success of Pre-K for All, in that we service our 4-year-olds in the pre-K programs at our centers. Our question today is, how can you facilitate a contract that's negotiated on our behalf that recognizes the work we do? And my colleagues would just like to stand and say thank you for pre-K, but we also would like to receive the pay that we deserve, as well as I also have my staff here.
Yeah.
Thank you. 2 parts to the question. My staff is also here because we also have sometimes concerns regarding lease and the City of New York negotiating the lease at our center. So we want to make sure that you can handle both of those things for us.
Yes, sure, absolutely. What's the center?
Williamsbridge, NAACP, Early Childhood Education
Excellent.
Center.
Okay. All right. Now, I need Alexis to join me because this is your area. So let me start by saying on the bigger issue of the negotiation of the contract and trying to address the pay issues. We're very committed to getting that done, and I think we're very close. Pre-K, we're very proud of what we've achieved. I want to thank all of you for being a part of that victory. You know how much of an impact it's making. But before pre-K, you guys were doing great work. And we want that great work to continue in reaching younger kids as well. So I believe we are very close to resolving the outstanding issues and resolving the issues of the past and getting us in a good place. In terms of the lease, Alexis, you'll follow up because I want to, and you need to let me know directly what we got to do to make sure that we can keep this lease going. So Alexis from my team will follow up with you. Thank you.
I'm going to come back onto this side, and we're going to go, man is standing up there, chugging, and then we're going to come to you, madam with the hat.
Excuse me? Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for coming here. Mr. Mayor, I'm a retired New York City detective. And thanks to Inspector Stevenson, by being commander of the 4-7 precinct, I believe that the police officers now, right, are acting more accordingly than what they should. And the reason why I say that is back in 2012, one of the worst horrible tragedies that ever happened a block away from here, where a young man, Romali Graham, was violated, where the police, and I'm a retired detective, where the police went and kicked in his house and killed him, and shot and killed him in front of his grandmother and his 6-year-old brother. And to me, it was nothing more than a modern-day Emmett Till. Officer Hayes now has had his due process in criminal court. He's been acquitted. However, he is still being paid as a police officer, awaiting a departmental trial. The trial should have already come up now. I could just imagine being a black officer, if some black or Hispanic officers would have went in another neighborhood and kicked in and killed a Caucasian kid, under those circumstances, we would not still be getting paid. And all I'm asking, my question to you, Mr. Mayor, is, and I know we got a new commissioner, and he can use discretion by pushing that trial up. That departmental trial needs to take place, and it needs to take place tomorrow. Officer Hayes, should not continue to be getting paid when what he did was
Can we
wrong
get a question?
over here one block away.
Can we get a question now?
So my question is, can you help get that trial, that departmental trial, pushed up?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. First of all, thank you for all you've done for the city. We appreciate it very much. And look, the day we lost Romali Graham was a tragic day. There's no two ways about it. And I feel as a parent a lot of pain that he was lost. And the answer is yes. We have already announced that the departmental trial process is now moving, that I think will be resolved in the next few months. In other words, the whole process will be resolved in the next few months. We made a public announcement a few weeks ago that that was moving forward. And that will finally be the resolution of all this. We're not going to prejudge. You know, since you were on the force yourself, everyone is due their due process. There will be a public trial on disciplinary matters, but that is about to be scheduled, and I believe the entire issue will be resolved at the end of the year or the very beginning of January. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Right here.
I don't block the body. My name is Johnny Goff, and I'm going to piggyback on Ms. D and NAACP William Bridge Daycare, Mr. Mayor. I'm a middle child, and my middle name is Children. I've been dealing with daycare since 1989, and I feel that with the age of 2, 3, 4, and 5, you've been writing articles that you've been interviewed on children eating correct, and health and nutrition is vitally important if they're going to be learning. We have about 242 elementary schools in District 11 I'm speaking of, and we have about 132 elementary school from pre-K to 4 to 5 grade 5, and then we have pre-K, universal pre-K of course now, which was done very much by our Senator Carl Hastie. It was very important bringing that up many years ago, and we're now dealing with kindergarten. You would like universal pre-K children to eat free. I suggest, my question is that all children in nursery school, pre-K school, public school from age 2, 3, 4, and 5 should eat free, because eating healthy will definitely increase their learning skills. And that has been a proven factor.
Thank you.
Question?
My question, to make sure that it goes over well, I brought you an envelope.
Again, envelope.
I
Okay.
wrote this program, and I would like to see it instilled.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you. Again, I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, so I'm going to try and remember. Now, we have improved what we're doing in terms of providing free breakfast at the elementary school level, and you can speak to that. But in terms of pre-KK, give the picture of what we're doing to provide the food that kids need.
So we make sure that children have food in the classroom, in the school, and this should be for all of our pre-K youngsters, so that should not be a problem there. And we do want them to eat, but pre-K, kindergarten, and even first grade students have snacks throughout the day, so that's there. But we've really been increasing our breakfast in the classroom program, and we're working very hard with that throughout the city. So this should continue, and I think that we'll make an emphasis on to make sure that our 5-year-olds are also getting breakfast in the classroom or some type of food. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I'm back over to this side. Now, we've done 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, we haven't gotten over here yet? All right, so we're going to come over here. Now, you get your one up because everyone did their presidential speech on each side. So I'm letting you know, you're going to get your presidential speech. After that, Sandman Sims is coming out. Just let you all know right now, you got your question. No more presidential speech. You get your chance, whoever's going to be the president. All right, there you go.
Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sahabai ajmeen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Akha wa salam. Welcome, Your Honor. My name is Aldo Rafael Perez. I am the founder of the New York Neighborhood Unity Alliance. Today, I am asking all elected officials that are here present to please make a resolution or legislation that will not ban Muslims or immigrants to be deported. This is a very serious nature in our community, and I work very strong with it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Would you work with our city council and with our state legislation in Assembly and the Senate to actually work with a resolution or some legislation that would not force the federal government to actually force deportation or registration of Muslims?
Absolutely, and I said that today, absolutely. We are going to challenge any effort for any registration by religion, any attempt to deport people on a religious basis. We're going to challenge that legally. We're going to work with other people around the country to challenge that. This is not part of America to separate people based on their religion. We won't stand for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, here we go. You ready for a question? Question. Okay, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Got it? Here we go. Start right here. 1, then 2, then 3.
Hello, my name is Janiyah Smith Butler. I'm 16 and I attend Evander Childs campus and I'm a part of the Bronx Youth Empowerment Program. My question.
You're a strong and forceful speaker.
Thank you. My question, I know that there are programs for the younger kids and for children, teenagers who are graduating high school, but are there any programs for students who are in between who are already struggling, trying to move into high school?
When you say in between, what do you mean? You mean like middle school?
Students that are, yeah, middle school.
Middle school, yes.
That are already struggling.
I am proud to say that every middle school child in New York City can have after school now for free all over this city.
All right, yeah.
All over this city. Now, I want you to know, this is very pertinent to the question. We instituted that 2 years ago, and again, thank you to Carl Hastie and the State Assembly for helping us get a lot of the help we needed to do that. Thank you. We've got now almost twice as many young people in after school who are in 6th, 7th, 8th grade. It's well over 100,000 kids. But there's many more after school seats that are available for free that people are still not taking advantage of. When they get into those after school seats, they get tutoring, they get enrichment programs, they get recreation, arts, culture. It's 3 more hours each day, every day of the week, Monday through Friday if they want. We need help getting the word out to young people and their families that that is available to them because it's already paid for and waiting for them. So the answer is yes.
2. Hi, good night.
My name is Marie Clark, and my question has to deal with YMCA that's coming in our community in Edenwald. My daughter is a member of the Velocity Track Club, and I would like to know what are some of the benefits that a team like that would receive from the YMCA. And I also want to personally thank Mr. King because he has been very helpful with our track team.
Yes, we're so proud that, as Carl Hasty said, we are finally getting a YMCA that this community has deserved for a long time. It's an amazing building. I've seen the design. It's going to have a lot of different opportunities available now. In terms of what we could do for track in that building, I'm not enough an expert. I don't know if you know the layout of the design.
No, there will be a track in there that give people opportunity to exercise, even in the indoor, and we're looking at an outdoor space as well. The Velocity Track Club, there's programs, there'll be hours to be able to get to utilize the space, so you can trust once it's being, but it's built for everyone. No one will be discriminated, and everyone will have access to it, regardless of your income. Everyone will have access to this YMCA. Who was 3?
Good evening, Mayor de Blasio, elected officials, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen of the police force. My name is Olympia Striplin. I'm here tonight I have a few questions, but I'm just going to stick with one right now. Currently, we have members of our community that work for the Rite Aid pharmacies, and they're being threatened with not being able to unionize, okay? The benefit fund has not been paid into by Rite Aid, and it kind of limits the opportunities that the workers have to be able to send their children to, like after-school programs, day camps, so they can venture outside their communities and garner new friendships. And, you know, childcare is one thing, health benefits are another. So my question is, in this regards, how, or is the city government going to be able to reinforce or support these workers in efforts to maintain their benefits and rights as unionized workers? Or
yes, the answer is yes. Thank you very much for the question, because this gets to the heart of a very important matter. Is a question you can ask, should elected officials be focused, and particularly mayors, be focused on protecting unionized workers? Absolutely yes. Absolutely, meaning the right to organize, the right to maintain the wages, the benefits, everything you've won. We have to back you up. We have to support you. So I've heard about what the Rite Aid workers are going through, and it bothers me intensely, because I think when people have won those rights, they need to be protected for the long term. So I will stand by you, and there's many abilities we can bring to bear to put pressure on Rite Aid to do the right thing, and I'm certainly going to be doing that. So thank you. Thank you.
All right, we're going to come over here. Come right here.
Is that
one?
Oh, wait, Andy, I'm sorry. I was not sure of this, but I've been handed a note. So there's a rally, young lady, there's a rally tomorrow for the Rite Aid workers, and I look forward to joining you at the rally. Thank you.
All right. So we have 1, 2, and 3. Right here, right here. 1, 2, and 3.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Thank you, Mayor Bill Blasio.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Thank you to our Congressmember, Andy King. My question is concerning NYCHA. What is it that you can do to help us as resident leaders have NYCHA to hear our voices?
Well, let's bring the chair of the Housing Authority right here to hear your voice. Chola. I've magically made appear the chair of the Housing Authority. So tell us just give me one example of how you would like your voice heard. What's something that you feel the Housing Authority is not speaking to?
Okay. My concern is Baychester. I have reached out to NYCHA numerous times, haven't had no response. Nobody comes through from NYCHA to visit our grounds. We are in desperate need of renovation, public safety. Our assemblyman has allotted money to Baychester for new doors. They put the new doors up, the new doors that they put up, I would have preferred them to keep the old doors there. I'm quite sure our assemblymen did not allotted money for cheap doors.
Okay, let's start with that. Which development again? Which development? Baychester, okay. And everyone, this is Shola Olatoye, the chair of the New York City Housing Authority.
Well, good evening. Thank you for your question.
Wait, I'm not hearing.
You're not hearing? Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for your question. Well, first, the good news is that your assemblymen as well as your councilmen have dedicated a fair amount of resources for cameras, doors, and other grounds improvements for Baychester. Don't worry, other developments have it too. And we just had a conversation about your doors the other day. The resources that were dedicated here actually were given to another state agency, so we're working to improve the work so that the next round of funding, we can improve those doors. Right, so what we're doing, right, and it actually, so what we're working on is trying to revise that scope. We work in partnership with the state to actually do that work. Thanks to the advocacy of the assemblyman, it was money that we got through the state. So they did the work, and we're now going in and seeing that we may need to change that scope a bit. So the next round of funding is going to be improved. But the other things that you have coming are grounds improvement, as well as additional cameras and other work at
Okay,
no, I know you don't have that now.
Wait a minute, but I'm
that's
also
an
going to,
investment.
to the are you being heard question, I'm going to ask the chair to come pay a visit
Absolutely.
to Baychester so she will
Absolutely.
come visit you directly and see for
Absolutely.
herself.
I will be there.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
You're good.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Shola.
Number 2.
I just wanted to congratulate you for coming to the Bronx.
The place to be.
My concern is what can you do to increase funding for our senior centers?
Okay. Donna, come over and let's talk about some of the things we have done. Come join us. Come join us. So, we have focused in some areas, not every area. Part of what I try and do in a town hall meeting is be straightforward, because we always make choices. But for example, we've focused on things like mental health services, which is the issue my wife is working on, mental health services for seniors. Obviously, we heard about case management. Our aging commissioner will tell you, I'm not going to say we focused on everything, but we want at least you to know where we have been making our investments.
We've been, actually, we have, for the audience, 270 senior centers, and I was at your center today in the Bronx at Gun Hill Road, and it's an amazing senior center. So my staff has been working very diligently with all of the senior centers to see how we can improve your facilities, number one. Expand programming, as you know. So we've been getting a great deal of an infusion of money to expand programming such as mental health services, as the mayor just mentioned, increase the number of meals that we serve, and in any way that we can help a senior center do better, we've been doing that, and we've been doing that one center at a time, because not every center is the same, as you know. So we'll continue to do that.
Thank you, thank you. And now that you mentioned Gun Hill, I would like to bring recognition to Evelyn Cintron, who is the director of Gun Hill Reign. Today they were awarded as the best senior center in the city of New York for emergency services. So thank you for all the work you've been doing. 150, they were in competition with 150 senior centers, and they ranked #1. So thank you, right here in the 12th district. All right, let's move it back around. We're gonna come around. Who's my number 3? Right here.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Andy King, Mr. Mayor. Tree roots in the city. I'm a homeowner, and what happened is that I had a complaint. I had 2 violations that I had to fix the sidewalk. I know there's a lot of people of houses in the Bronx, and they have problems with sidewalk. I got 2 violations, and DOT said I had to fix it. Now, There's a tree in front of my house. I called DOT. They gave me a number. They said to call Tree Forestry and the Parks Department. I called the Parks Department. I called Tree Forestry, and they said that if the tree caused the problem, I don't have to fix it. They'll fix it on their own time or whatever, their own behalf. So what happened is 2 years, this is 2 years, I have a trip hazard. Now, who do I go to and how do I go about fixing this?
Thank you for asking the question. Here's who you go to. No, wait. Parks. Parks.
Absolutely.
You're a borough commissioner for the Parks Department, and she's going to personally see to this matter.
Absolutely. We have a trees and sidewalks program, and we send out inspectors and we rate the tree accordingly to be able to have the particular property be part of the trees and sidewalks program. So what I'd like to do is to be able to address your particular location, to be able to make sure that we have a proper inspection done over there to be able to address your concern. Okay, I don't know specifically
So
your location,
why don't
but
we
I will
jump
address it.
ahead since it happened already? What I want you to do, Commissioner, just confirm that with your own
Absolutely.
agency, and if it's true, let's send someone over to fix the tree.
Absolutely.
All right, good.
Thank you. So I'm going to add to that. I want to thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioner. I want to thank you for that because we do have an issue. We've got a number of complaints at the office of trees, uprooting sidewalks, and the homeowner was told that they were responsible for fixing the sidewalk. So this is a relief to hear that this is how we're going to be dealing with this forward.
Whoa. Wait. He had a very specific situation where it had already been determined by the Parks Department that was appropriate. I am a homeowner. Let me talk truth to people here. I'm a homeowner in Brooklyn. I am responsible for my sidewalk. We're all responsible for our sidewalk. Now, this is not always fun. Let me be real with people. I don't like it. And I've had issues with my sidewalk, and I have a tree in front of my house, and it wasn't like I didn't ask for it to be there, even though I enjoy the tree. When I moved in, the tree was there. So I'm responsible for my sidewalk. There are cases where the city takes responsibility for particular reasons. And there's a regular tree pruning program, but it is not sufficient. It's something we're trying to pump up, and the city council's been very adamant about putting more resources in. So I don't want the councilman in his zeal to suggest that homeowners are not still responsible for their sidewalks, because we are, but we will try where there are exceptional situations to provide support and intervene. That's the reality.
Thank you. I do have a piece of legislation, and maybe we can talk more about it to help with trees and removal. So we figure how do we help our homeowners out. Yes. So we're going to come over here. We're going to go 1, 2, and 3. Yes. Okay.
Department of Transportation, just going to have a quick addition here.
So every year we go to community boards throughout the city to make certain repairs at 1, 2, 3 single family homes. Next year, our sidewalk contract will be in this community board, CB12. So I can speak to you afterwards, and I could talk to you to see if your address should be on the list since it has a bunch of notice of violations.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Maxine Lothian. What can our mayor do to help Reign secure additional funding to build on their senior housing model to address the lack of housing for seniors, which is badly needed in the Bronx and in New York City?
Thank you. Well, we have been very focused on senior housing. We have an initial plan for 10,000 apartments, 10,000 senior citizen-specific apartments, but also all of our affordable housing plan, which is enough for 500,000 people. It's 200,000 apartments. Excuse me, seniors can apply for any and all of those, obviously. So that's part one. That plan is the biggest affordable housing plan the city's ever had. Enough housing for 500,000 people, built or subsidized over 10 years. On top of that, we're keeping a lot of seniors from being evicted because of free legal services. So again, I'm going to make that statement again to anybody who knows someone who is facing either a legal eviction or harassment by a landlord, not getting heat, hot water. All you have to do is call 311. If it's a legal issue, we will provide you with a lawyer for free. That is stopping a lot of evictions and helping seniors stay in the housing they have now. We're also trying to get a lot more seniors to take advantage of the rent freeze. We have a rent freeze that my administration put in effect for all rent-stabilized housing, but on top of that, seniors who qualify get a rent freeze separately. And still, there's tens of thousands of seniors who don't take advantage of it. So we're trying to sign up more and more seniors for that. Those are all pieces of the plan, on top of which, every opportunity we get, we're trying to help individual seniors get the support they need for affordable housing. So all of those pieces add up. And we passed a law, and this is particularly important. With the help of Andy King and members of the City Council, we passed a law requiring developers who are developing the city and need a city government permit to do it. They now must create affordable housing as part of that plan. If they don't create affordable housing, we will not give them a permit to build at all. When we passed that law, one of the #1 supporters of that change was AARP, which is obviously the strongest organized voice for seniors, because they realized it would lead to a lot more housing being created for senior citizens. So that's how we're trying to support the seniors of the city.
Mr. Mayor, I think what I'm asking you is, how does RAIN get additional fund to secure, to build on their model for housing for seniors?
So I don't know enough about RAIN's model, but I do know that if RAIN has a proposal for how to create senior housing, we want to hear it, and we want to see if it's something we can support. So is anyone here from RAIN who knows about the proposal?
You got the president.
The president?
The CEO.
Have you submitted a proposal working with the Department of Housing Preservation and Development?
We'll follow up. Thank you so much.
We will connect you to the right people at the Department of Housing Preservation and Development. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Number 2.
Good evening. Our public service, our police department, and people of the community. My name is Delaney Johnson, and I'm a certified safety audit, a certified safety manager. I'm an EHMS specialist and a certified safety trainer. I went to the school of the National Association of Safety Professionals. I also went to the College of Pratt for construction management. I have a problem.
Question?
My question is, I'm trying to train our young youth in society and keep them from going to jail.
That's a statement. Question?
Yeah, but my question it is, Mayor, they are not recognizing my certification in the state of New York. How can I go about doing that? So instead of sending our youth to jail, I could train them and so they can have some jobs.
When you say they are not recognizing certification, who do you mean?
OSHA and anybody that I will apply to issue certifications.
Okay. That one, OSHA's federal, but we're going to still try and help. Alexis, will you follow up directly? So Alexis from my team will get the information from you, and then we're going to see if we can find a way to sort this out for you.
He's 3. Okay. She will follow up with you. Alexis will follow up with you.
Okay. No, I'll wait. Mr. Mayor, first of all, I want to thank you for coming up. My name is Robert Hall. I'm a TA president for NYCHA Development, specifically Gun Hill. My concern deals with the policies and the procedures that NYCHA has. They're going through a transition. They're into what they call NYCHA Next Generation. I'm glad you brought the chair with you. At this point, the social service aspect is completely wiped out. They now done away with community operations, they've done away with social services, and they have something called resident engagement, okay? We desperately are in need of social service. We as TA presidents, we are desperately in need. We deal with many disenfranchised individuals, and we have no hands-on with social service from a NYCHA perspective. all right? There is a transition, however, and I would like to speak to you with regards to that. The transition does not include what is urgently necessary. For example, that takedown that the police had at Eastchester, we had a gathering, and most of the individuals who showed up, they were traumatized. One of the reasons was the simple fact that there was no social service intervention before we had this town hall meeting regarding the takedown. So the DA, as it lends itself, had really had a lot to deal with that evening. But it's urgently necessary, and I'd like to hear what has to be said.
I'm going to turn to the chair, but let me preface by saying, I think you're raising an important issue, but I also want to be honest and straightforward with you. I try never to just tell people what they want to hear. I think we want to have a real honest conversation. I hear you about why a takedown, creates a certain reality that we have to address as well. But the takedown itself, to me, was so crucial to stop the scourge that people were experiencing in terms of violence and crime. But if there's ways we can address it better or the aftermath, we want to do that. Equally, you're right, there's a lot of people who live in public housing who need support. But I think the underlying issue of Next Generation NYCHA was crumbling financially, right? This is just a reality. You didn't ask for it, I didn't ask for it, but for decades, federal government that used to be a key partner in funding public housing has been stepping away more and more. And we have $18 billion worth of capital investments that need to be made in NYCHA that we don't have the money for unless we do things very, very differently. And obviously, even the day-to-day operating budget was on the verge of going bankrupt. So we had to make fundamental changes, and some of those meant some of the things that were there in the past wouldn't be there, but it was in the name of getting the basics right, getting the repairs right, getting on with the work of fixing roofs. We stopped, by the way, and I'm very proud of this, we stopped taking money out of NYCHA. It used to be, until my administration, NYCHA had to pay the NYPD for policing and had to pay taxes to the city of New York. We ended both of those realities and put the money back into NYCHA. So in terms of the social service piece in particular, let me have the chair speak to what we're doing with that.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for your leadership as a resident association president. So you are correct. We are in the midst of transition. One of the things that we've done, working closely with our partners at the Department for the Aging, as well as the Department for Youth and Community Development, is partner more closely with local organizations. So we have a series of zone partners here in Council District 12 with whom we now actually have referrals to around specific social service issues. With regard to resident engagement, that group is actually meant to support you and your members around the issues that matter to you. So whether it's public safety, dogs, recycling, that team is actually trained to come out and support you with training, ways around leadership development, how to access your TPA funds, which is also under changing as well. So that group is actually exactly hopefully the answer to your concern, the other young woman's concern around how do we support resident leaders, emerging leaders around issues that are important to them and to their communities. So I'd be happy to not only add Gun Hill to my visits, I've visited almost 200 developments, but also yours as well, and talk to you more about how we can partner together.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Good question, Robert Hall. I'm going this way. All right, we got 1, 2, and 3, sir. Who's one? Who was one? Come on, Ray, stand up if you're one. 1, 2. Hey, what's up, Toba?
My name is April Oates, and I'd like to thank you guys for coming here. And I'm a musicianist. I play the tenor saxophone. And in my school this year, they cut out the band program, but every other year they had it. So my question is, how do we get music education programs back in city schools so that children can get the experiences that they have been affording in the past?
Well done. You're like the star of the town hall meeting. Take your hand away from your face. Let's give her another round of applause. So, I want to say a couple things, and then the Deputy Chancellor will speak to what's going on in your school. Which school again? Say again? Pelham Gardens Middle School. Pelham Gardens Middle School. Coming to you, Dorita. So, one thing we did was we put, I think it was $23 million into the budget to add arts and culture and music education back, because you're right, it has been cut out. We're trying to add it back now, all over the city. And in our after-school programs I mentioned before, all 6th, 7th, 8th graders get after-school programs for free now, and a lot of those have music as one of the components of them. In terms of why you would have had music taken out of your school, Dorita, what's up with that?
We're going to fix that right now. Our superintendent is here today, Misha Porter. She can just wave over there.
Where's the superintendent?
And that shouldn't happen, because we do believe that you need music and arts in your schools. We're a strong believer of that, and we're going to figure out why it was taken out. Very often when the budget was cut, music was the first to go, but we don't do that anymore, so that shouldn't happen. So we're going to figure this out for you, okay? So you'll have music very soon.
Thank you.
If I have the
music in our bones again. Number 2. Who was 2? Question.
Yes. My name is Alexandria, and I would like to know what initiative and funding is available to bring mentoring and counseling programs to high school students in the Bronx to address behavioral and truancy issues.
What's your name again? Wait, say it into the microphone. Alexandria?
Yes.
All right. Appreciate your question. So, counseling programs to address, you said truancy? Okay, another thing like that. So, as I said before, we're adding a lot more in the way of guidance counselors, because we want young people to have that support, and especially in terms of trying to determine pathway to either college or career. In terms of truancy specifically, who knows? Do you know, Dorita or superintendent? Whoever has a sense of what we're doing about truancy. You want to come over? Come on over. Work your way down the row. Come on over.
Hi. What school?
Wait, come over. Introduce yourself to everyone.
I'm Misha Ross Porter. I'm the superintendent for Community School District 11.
All right, come over. What school again?
Okay. So your question was about what's being done to address truancy issues. Okay. So first of all, every school has an attendance committee that looks specifically at what students are coming to school, who's coming late, what students are in certain percentages in terms of their absences and or latenesses. And so that's something that happens at every school. Like the mayor said, through a number of different programs and initiatives, schools are expanding the number of guidance counselors and social workers that are employed at the schools. I'm in charge of the pre-K through 8 schools. The high school superintendent was here, but she had to leave, so your school is actually covered by Ms. Crone Staple, who's the high school superintendent. But I know that one of the things that we're really working on is how do we make sure that we have the support services in place through guidance counselors, social workers, and in some cases, advisory programs to ensure that young people who are having issues that impact their ability to come to school have an adult to come to about those issues. Okay? You're welcome.
Thank you, Superintendent Porter. 3.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council, and all. I'm a little bit perturbed, as one of your young senior citizens has to say, why is it that we have taken our school playgrounds and gymnasium, outside gymnasium, and donated to teachers, as you, myself, or one of the others out here? When you drive to work, you don't have well, I would not have a certificate to say I can park anywhere, but they can take the school playgrounds, rather than our children running up and down the street during lunch breaks, coming into the gyms or going out into a yard, and made a parking lot for teachers. I'm perturbed about that.
Okay, I think I understand. Let me make sure I understand, though. You're saying that you feel that the kids aren't going to have a place to play? Okay.
That's right, and the teachers utilizing The playgrounds,
Right.
they should be allocated to the students.
So let me say this, I am a parent myself, and both my kids went to New York City public schools. I want to differentiate the fact that we would like our teachers and everyone who works at school to have a place to park. That's not a bad thing. Your point is, does it interfere with kids being able to have that
the
space?
use of that
Okay.
public
And
property
are you
is
thinking
set
about a
aside.
specific school, or is this a general thing?
Throughout the city, I've seen it in Brooklyn, here in
All
the Bronx,
over, okay.
Queens,
Dorita,
and
come
the
back.
teachers utilizing
So,
it. What is the
Dorita,
amount?
let us learn
Thank you for your
together.
question.
Thank you, sir. So here's the question. We understand that the people who do the teaching need a chance to park too, but how do we set standards that do not cause that to interfere with kids having space for recreation?
We have to look at each district and each school that's doing this. There are some districts that do not allow this, and some districts that do allow it, but they make sure that their children have a place to play. But I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. Parking shouldn't take place of students having a place to play. Children need to be outside. They need recess and need a schoolyard. But you are correct. I agree with you. He's saying that we take gymnasiums and the children can't play in the gymnasiums at all. But that should never happen, sir. That should never be a problem. The gym is for the school, and the children should be able to be in the gym. I will. But we have to make sure that inside the schools, they should be. No, I understand.
Why should teachers who get paid just like you or I have to, we have to park, we park. We get a ticket, we get a ticket. But our facilities should not be taken away from the children to allow them to have parking.
Yes. And we'll
Message well received. Thank you, my brother. Thank you, thank you. We're going to come over on this side over here. So we got 1, 2, and 3.
I want to welcome the mayor and you also, Councilman. I'm a original cooperator from Co-op City, and something very foreboding is happening in my neighborhood. I see an influx of storage facilities, and I don't understand why this is happening. No one can answer that. And I'm very happy that I'm here this evening to hear you speak about how expensive it is to live in this city and how tenants are being either evicted or they can't afford to live there. And I'm wondering if that has anything to do with this land use that I've noticed in my neighborhood. I've been in this neighborhood 40 years, and it's like every weekend from the ground up. And as an entrepreneur, I know that there's focus involved. You don't just put up a building without some expectation of profit. Thank you.
Good question.
Look, I think I'm not enough an expert on land use to say what the role of the storage facilities is. I think there's the bigger point here is the city has become more and more desirable as it got safer and safer, as the economy has grown. We have the most, we literally at this moment have the highest population in the history of New York City. We have 8.55 million people here. We have the most jobs we've ever had. We have 4.3 million jobs. I'm saying that to say I think what's going on is much bigger than the storage facility issue. I know it's an issue, but I'm saying I think what's really going on is that people are coming here more and more. People are staying here more and more. That's shooting up the price of housing across the board. Our answer to that is to try to rapidly build more housing to compensate for that, and especially affordable housing. And again, the protections to keep people from being evicted, the subsidies to keep people in their apartment. We're trying with all those tools. I don't have a great answer for you on the role of the storage facilities, and if there's something else you want to say so I can understand what it is causing in your view, I would welcome that. Go ahead. Can we give her back the microphone?
Everyone, why aren't we building houses? Why are we putting up storage facilities?
Right, and I think the point there, right now we are building all over the city at a very intensive rate. In fact, if you look around the city right now and you look at the congestion problems we're having all over New York City, a lot of that is because we're building so much. The level of real estate development right now is extraordinary all over the city. So it's not for lack of building. In general, I think in some places where the storage facility is are not where the prime building locations are. But I hear your point. If what you're saying is, are we losing locations that could be used for housing? That's a very fair question. I will bring that back to see if we think there's something we're missing right now. But what I can rest assured, we're good. What I can rest assured is, we're good. We're not going to do a dialogue. My apology, because we have to get to other people. I understand. That's the whole point of everything I just said, is that we need to address that by building affordable housing, subsidizing people, stopping evictions, etc. Thank you.
Number 2.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Mayor and elected officials. This is not my question, but with all the development, you should make the developers have mandatory parking when they develop, because the parking is outrageous. You can't find a spot for anything. My problem is my religious liberty is threatened. This is regarding vaccines, mandatory vaccines. I've looked into vaccines. I've done a lot of research on vaccines. And as a Christian, and I believe in God, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. And He made everything perfect. Now, what's in the vaccines, I was choosing to not vaccinate my child. Now I'm fighting with them because they're taking away any religious exemption, any medical. There's no religious exemption. Some arbitrary person is deciding that they know my religion better than me.
Question?
The question is, what can you, and this is addressed also to Jamal and Carl Hasty as our incoming senator, because I know this is a state problem, but what are you going to do to protect the rights, the constitutional rights of our children, because they're being forced to be injected with the vaccines that contain aborted fetal tissue?
So let me jump in. I get the question.
Well,
look, I'll let our colleague from the health department come over. I don't know what part of this you don't understand. Come over. A nice signal for you, everyone. Okay, so the point to me is we have to protect all the children in our schools. So you're right. Everyone has individual rights, and Lord knows in New York City we respect all faiths and we respect everyone's right to exercise their faith. But we also have a school system filled with children whose health we have to protect. So I'd like the health department representative to speak about how we go about the vaccine question and when, if ever, there are exemptions.
So first of all, I want to say that we are at some of the highest rates of vaccination that we've ever had, because parents are cooperating more and more and helping to get the children vaccinated. So that's a general statement. And I think you can't overstate how important this is in terms of protecting children's health. I'm happy in this individual case. I think the best thing for me to do would be to speak with you as soon as we're done and get the details. Getting an exemption is very difficult because it threatens the health of the other children, and so we're very, very, very cautious about that. I don't know the details of this case, but I'm happy to figure it out, okay?
Thank you. Right here.
Thanks.
Greetings, Mayor, and all you wonderful Bronxites. Mayor, what percentage of the city's contracts and procurements and so forth goes to so-called minorities of the city, especially those in the African-American community? And how committed is your administration to enforcing these rules, to see that the right, the just and just due is given to these minorities? Because oftentimes we say we have a percentage, but it's not, no one monitors and says it's done. And lastly.
Wait, I got your question. Everyone gets one question. I got your question. So,
one question.
Sir, we just announced, I think it was about 2 months ago, our goal now for city procurement contracts, et cetera, for minority and women-owned businesses is 30% of all city contracts, 30% of a base that's about $18 billion. Now, we need one thing to achieve that we do not yet have. And Senator is going to be in a position to help us, I hope, because we need legislation in Albany that will authorize the city of New York to approach its minority and women-owned business initiatives the same way the state of New York does, which will allow us to reach a lot more people. If we get that piece of legislation passed, we will then be able to hit the goal of 30% of all city contracts.
So what is it right now?
Right now, we have set a goal. We've been trying to get to 20%, but we haven't had the ability to do that because of the lack of state legislation. Again, one question per person.
Give it a mic. Thank you. Thank you for your question, Jose. Appreciate it. Right here, we're going around this way. 1, 2, and 3.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Councilman Andy King. First, I want to thank you for opening up the mansion for my children to go down to your Halloween party. We had a ball.
We are very glad you were there.
Thank you, sir. My flight is, I'm an entrepreneur without realizing it. And I think I have the ideal item for your pre-K to start to learn Spanish and English with the category of manners and etiquette. And it came about me working for the New York City Housing Authority, and I saw that they weren't using their manners and etiquette. So I'm here to offer you your prize, your new direction in manners and etiquette.
We all need manners and etiquette.
Yes, we do.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, sir.
It says, be nice, sea amable. Okay, I'm going to remember that. Thank you.
You, sir.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gibson.
You're welcome.
2 and 3.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for coming. My name is Renee Patterson. I'm with the Seton Falls Park Coalition. Thank you to the elected officials and the agency heads that are here. Seton Falls Park is a 30-acre jewel in the Northeast Bronx surrounded by 6 schools. This park has had 2 minor crime incidents in 2015 and 2016. My question is, we would either you find money in the budget for park police, which we have not had in the Bronx for years, or we would like for cameras to be installed in Seton Falls Park like they were installed in Spring Creek Park with that horrific rape and murder of that woman that died in August 2016.
Okay, now, let me say to folks at NYPD, this is the first question, I think, going directly to you, which is an indicator of your success. I congratulate you. Which precinct has the park? Come forward, Inspector.
Good afternoon. Councilman King, thank you for hosting this. This is a wonderful event, and I just want to thank this community for coming out. You guys are so informed, and you're really plugged into what's happening in your community. Renee, we've spoken several times about Seton Falls Park. It is a very huge area in the 4-7. Throughout the year, our focus is deployment. That park has various ways you can get in and out, but it's about the deployment. In Seton Falls Park, this year, we have 2 crimes, 2 felony crimes, 2 robberies, versus 4 last year. So we don't generate a significant volume of crime in Seton Falls Park. Nevertheless, our deployment is a reason why. So we have steady sector patrol cars visiting, stopping, making sure they go through the park. We have our NCOs. I know you know your NCOs very well. They, too, are very familiar with that park. As a matter of fact, they proposed a couple of initiatives that they wanted to do inside the park to bring awareness. We had a brutal attempted rape this year, and it is because of our deployment why we were able to quickly respond and arrest the perpetrator for that rape.
So, who here lives in the 4-7 precinct? Okay. I think you should give a big round of applause to this man for all he's doing.
Woo!
Thank you.
All right, now I want to hear from the Parks Department, too. Okay, there you go.
No, I just wanted to say thank you very much. One of the things that I'm very proud of, and I'm more than happy to work with you, we work along with the 47th Precinct, the NCO officer, and this administration now. Last year, we only had about 25 officers. Come the beginning of December, we'll have 50 officers in the borough of the Bronx, so we'll be able to address some of the issues in the parks as well.
Thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at the... We have 50 minutes remaining. So please, I am at the point right now, I'm really going to have to pull the hook of people going to their presidential speech. I don't want to do that because I want to give everyone an opportunity, and I don't want anybody to leave here saying, I didn't get to ask my question because they just let somebody talk forever. So, with respect to the next speaker, the next question that's going to be ahead of you, please ask just your question. Leave the narrative behind. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor. Thank you for coming. My name's Carl Anzano. I'm on the 47th Precinct Community Council and Community Board 12. My question is, do you agree that crimes committed against the police, because they are police, should be raised to the level of hate crimes?
I've heard that proposal, and I think it depends on the situation, is the honest truth. If it's because they are police, if that's literally what you're saying, that the definition is we have evidence someone was attacked from a police officer, yes, I do think that's a kind of hate crime. So that's what, if we can define it that squarely, yes.
All right, thank you. Next, Bernie.
Yeah. Bernard Silage, Vice President, River Corporation, Co-op City. First, let me thank you, Mayor, to courageously inform and express our conscience when you spoke to elect Donald Trump.
Thank you.
Thank you. My question is this. Our water sewer bill has gone up from $4 million in 2004 to $20 million this year. I think when you ran for mayor, you indicated...
Can we get a question, please?
Yeah, the question is, did you think that was a backdoor tax? It is taking a major toll on our finances, but I imagine it taking a toll on all of us.
Yes.
Everybody who pays water sewer tax.
I got it. Okay. It was a backdoor tax, and working with the city council, we sought this year to eliminate it once and for all, meaning that when you pay your water bill, you would only have to pay for water, nothing extra, nothing else that would go to the general treasury. Then the landlord lobby, called the Rent Stabilization Association, sued us, and this is amazing. They sued us to stop us from giving a water bill credit to 600,000 homeowners. Yes, this is the kind of thing that should be reported on in the news and isn't reported on enough in the news. We said we wanted to give a water bill credit to 600,000 homeowners, people who own small properties. The landlord association owns big properties. They were not going to get a credit. So they sued to stop us from giving a credit to the homeowners. It's now in court. We're fighting over it. We expect Zach Carter, our corporation counsel, when do we expect to hear? When do we expect to hear on this issue, do you know, on the RSA and the law? Okay, he'll find out. We don't have an answer yet. Okay, but it is in court. We're appealing it. And I hope that we prevail, in which case homeowners will get the credit. And then from that moment on, the only thing you will see in your water bill is the cost of water.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you.
I'm telling you, that's what it was.
Hello.
Ms. Peters, Mr. Mayor.
Hello, happy Thanksgiving and welcome to the Bronx. My name is Leslie Peterson from Co-op City, and my question to you, Mayor de Blasio, is this. Co-op City, in order to maintain the quality of life, provides extra police protection and we assist with sanitation. And I want to know, would you be willing to sit down and negotiate and meet and have some kind of reciprocal benefit to Co-op City because we provide additional service that helps relieve the sanitation department and the police department from some of their responsibilities?
Okay.
There you go.
There you go. I'm going to be careful on this one on purpose because I talked a moment ago about the Housing Authority, which is in a very, very dire situation, truly dire, $18 billion of repairs that we don't have the money for. And that's where we did provide a lot of relief. We stopped making them pay for police, for example. The Co-op City is a different reality, so I want to proceed with caution. Am I happy to have a meeting organized to look at that with you? Yes, but I don't want to commit beyond that because we have a lot of other challenges we're trying to face. But absolutely, we will set up a meeting for you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, good evening, excuse me. Good evening, my name is Tom Penny Jr. I'm a part of the Bronx Youth Empowerment Program, and I'm also a sophomore mechanical engineering major at Buffalo State College in Buffalo, New York. And my question is basically for my research paper. So, how can I say this? How can we increase the amount of female engineers in the world since it's a male-dominant subject? How can we increase the amount of females within the engineering?
Okay, that's a little bit outside my purview, but I'll do my best. I appreciate entrepreneurial researcher. Look, I'll only say this. From the position of our school system, here's a simple way I would say it. We are focusing now, a huge focus on computer science education, which is something obviously will facilitate a lot of young women going into engineering up ahead. So we have computer science for all. Every level of school in this city will have computer science education integrated into its curriculum. And we are investing in CUNY in 2-year STEM degrees. We're adding a lot more spaces for young people who want to pursue those fields and can get a 2-year degree at CUNY. So my hope in that is that New York City is doing something tangible that will help a lot of young women to go into the engineering field. I can't speak for the national situation, but I can tell you what New York City is doing. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to move over here. 1, 2, and 3.
How you doing? Regarding the Marley Graham case, the gentleman that was murdered a block away from here, you said that there was a public announcement made about the case moving forward in, well, whatever. You said there was a public announcement.
I said the disciplinary proceedings where the police department brings disciplinary action and there's a trial that's about to begin.
Yeah, you told his mother right here that it was going to happen in November. Today's what, 21st? November's almost over. Thanksgiving is this week.
We made an announcement that
When's
it was going to happen. No, it's about to start happening. We'll get you an exact date, but that we said it was going to happen this year.
There was one question. You asked one question, sir. Sir, that was one question.
Who has the date? Where's the date? You said November. We're in November.
We're in November.
Who has the date then?
We'll get you the
date.
date.
It doesn't happen overnight. It has to be planned.
We'll
so
get you the
somewhere
date.
somebody has a date. Who can we speak to get the date?
We will get you the date. I guarantee it. It's been publicly announced already that this is moving.
How many years?
Okay, sir. The mayor answered the question. The mayor answered the question.
They're still killing us too.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Miller.
Good evening, Mayor de Blasio, Councilman King, our speaker, our new state senator. I stand here as the CEC president for District 11 Education Council. So I'm asking this on behalf of the parents in this district. We've had an influx of elementary schools open up, but we're still owed about 600 middle school seats. There was an attempt with leasing to Catholic schools to get more seats, but those schools could only be elementary schools because middle schools teach health and sex ed specifically. So we didn't get middle schools. We need middle school seats. It's already been documented. I think the number, so we're in November, whatever we can do to have something by September of 2017, whether it's through new construction, appropriate co-locations, whatever it takes to get the middle school seats, because what's going to happen is these elementary school children are going to end up.
I hear you. We had the head of the school construction authority here, but we didn't have any identified concerns raised previously, so we didn't know to do that. So
what we can
we'll follow up with you.
We can do this. I have a meeting with SCA next week. I invite you to join me at the meeting, and we're going to answer that question for you. Okay? All right. Excellent. My sister.
Thank you very much. My name is Binata Diop, and I'm the founder of JCBS Global, a nonprofit organization for immigrants. Thank you, Councilman Andy King, for your work that you do across all immigrant communities, as well as the Africans, the Spanish, and beyond. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question that I'm going to put in the table, here in the Bronx table, about immigration: how can we foster a healthy integration with the African community, immigrant communities here, in order to make sure that the New York City Council of Immigrant Affairs can give us reflective numbers when it comes to research about the African community? I believe that it's not reflective, and I believe that they should work with the African community members in cooperation in order to get a better health, especially in mental health when it comes to illegal immigrants.
Thank you very much for the question. We obviously look, because we do believe in protecting all and supporting all the immigrants of our city. You're right, we need to know exactly what's happening in our communities. So what I'll do is set up a meeting for you and your colleagues with our Commissioner for Immigrant Affairs, Nisha Argawal, and you can raise the concerns so we can make sure we're accurately reflecting the community's needs. So we'll make sure we follow up with you to get that meeting. Oh, okay, great. Why don't you?
Would you like to add to that?
So your concerns are absolutely well heard, and I want to open up our office to continuing engagement. We've met with many groups, particularly in the Bronx, around the issues. I think you're right. There's issues around census data and how that's collected at the federal level, and we absolutely want to hear more from you. I think the mayor, in terms of your questions on illegal immigration and undocumented immigrants, has come out very strongly in this political climate that we're about to enter, to say we will stand very strongly behind our immigrants in this city. And really, I will have my card for you and welcome other ideas on what the city can be doing in this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry that you couldn't hear her, but she got an answer, and they're going to connect and get a card. Right here. Let's get a microphone right here for this young man.
Good evening to everyone, and basic question: what must we do to get more bus service for the 26, 28, 30, 38, and express bus service to Lower Manhattan?
Well, when it comes to Co-op City, we all know we've been fighting for this, and this is an MTA issue. So, Mayor, I'm going to ask you to join me to put pressure on the MTA to restore bus service in Co-op City. Co-op City is its own little city within its world, and when you cut in certain parts of Co-op City, it has a drastic impact, because all the bus services and postal were designed specifically for Co-op City. So the minute you change that dynamic, you make life difficult, where one fare zones become two fare zones. People are waiting tirelessly for a bus. It's just become a real headache for the residents of Co-op City.
I will definitely work with the council member on that.
Yes. Thank you. All right. You're quite welcome. We're coming around this way. Right there. Ma'am, you had a question? Okay. I'm here.
Good night, everyone. My name is Joan Melford, mother to Brian Melford. And I have a question directed to Mayor Bill de Blasio. Okay, I would like to know, how do we lower the age of the NYP, the Explorer program, so that youth as low as 8 can have a way to participate?
Well, first of all, Joan, you did a great job with Brian, okay? I'll give you a lot of credit. He's a great young man.
Hey.
Okay, now 8 is kind of young. I'm impressed by that. I don't know enough about Explorers to know what the right age is, but if anyone from PD wants to speak to this, anyone an expert on the Explorers here? You want to say something? No, yes, no?
Hi, my name is Julie Morrill. I'm the captain of PSA 8. We have Explorers there in housing up here in the 4-7 and down in the 4-3 and the 4-5. We're always looking for new members. It's something that we would like to expand our Explorer program, so I applaud you for that, for thinking that that's a great program, because I think it's a great program too. In my mind, I would think that it could go down as low as 11. The officers that are in charge of the program have to have a good grasp of like who the kids are, and they also have to be able to administer the program the way that it's written. Now, a lot of the things that they do are to take trips and go various places, and it needs permission, especially from parents, and sometimes in each and every individual case, there are different things that they need permission for. As you lower the age, it becomes more difficult to take the kids out. For instance, they'll often go to, say, a Yankee game, and it's one thing to take a group of 13-year-old kids with 1 or 2 officers than it is to take like 24 kids who are down to 8 years old. So although it's a good idea to look into it, as far as how young it could go, I think that's a very good, interesting suggestion that maybe they'll look into.
Thank you for answering that question. Appreciate it. Right here, right here. Question here. And a question. Do you have a question?
Hello.
Okay, 1, 2.
Hello, Mayor. Is there a possibility to lower the turnover rate on FOIL requests? Because it's been over average.
Say again, I'm sorry?
Is there a possibility to speed up the turnover rates on FOIL requests? Because I have made several, and it's been over a year since I have not received any
it's something
response.
there's been a huge increase in the number of, thank you, there's been a huge increase in the number of FOIL requests, so we're trying to speed them up because we believe it's the right thing to do, but it really, unfortunately, they come with a lot of work because there are real legal and other issues. So we're trying to track it, we're trying to speed it up, but I just want you to know it's against a backdrop where the number keeps rising of what's being asked of us.
Thank you. Next.
Mayor, Councilman, Senator, and Speaker. My name is Daphne Aponte. I'm the Outreach Coordinator at Catholic Charities Home Base, and you've done an excellent job in addressing homelessness and eviction prevention head-on and have allocated a lot of resources into helping families come out of the shelter and prevent families from going in. You have done an excellent job at acknowledging families who are in the shelter, who are working and doing what they have to do and using every resource available and providing them with different subsidies and opportunities to enter NYCHA. What I'm facing is a lot of families that are using all the resources that you made available, like the life skills coach and aftercare services, are working their way off of cash assistance. And once they do that, they're losing their HRA benefits and their LINK and FEPS vouchers immediately.
Okay. So your question is?
It's a little too detailed. What's the bottom line?
What can we do to help those families who are using all the resources that you put in place and are quickly working their way off of cash assistance so that they don't become homeless again?
Okay, we have someone here from social services. Yes, step on up. It's a great question, but I don't have the expertise to talk about that specific reality. Take it away.
Yes. Bruce Jordan here, Chief Homelessness Prevention Officer at DSS. So one thing that you're going to see coming up next fiscal year, we're in the process of streamlining actually all the rental subsidies. And one of the things we're considering is if someone doesn't go over 250% of poverty, to still keep the subsidy going, even though they may not be able to get public assistance. So they might have other income and we'll continue the subsidy. So keep a lookout for that. And also, we're gonna work closer with Home Base because Home Base is coming over to HRA from the DHS side. So we'll be speaking to you about that more.
You're up next.
Mayor de Blasio, thank you for coming. Councilman King, thank you for hosting this. My name is Dr. Michael Burke, and my question is regarding the New York City Economic Development Corporation. New York City is a huge repository for biotechnology, which is fantastic, and we've spent a lot of money in infrastructure on biotechnology, which you've done an excellent job of. But my question is regarding solar technology and clean technology. Is it possible that we can get funding for clean technology and solar technology? Because when I look for funding as far as entrepreneurship and the incubator space, there is nothing regarding solar technology, clean energy in New York City. There's some in New York State, but not New York City.
You mean for a private firm that wants to do that work?
Yes.
All right. I don't know who's got it. You can both come forward. Let's compare notes. This is a great question. All right, Greg, you start.
How you doing? My name is Greg Bishop. I'm the Commissioner of Small Business Services. So we help entrepreneurs actually find funding. It's actually debt funding. So we have a network of 40 lenders, and last year we did connect entrepreneurs to over $60 million. So if you're looking for funding where you have a business plan, I can help you. But the second question, I'll hand it over to Charlie.
Hi, Charlie Samboy, EDC Government Relations.
Wait, louder and say what EDC is.
Sorry, Charlie Samboy. I'm the Government Relations contact for the Economic Development Corporation. We did do a pilot program in Brooklyn that helped connect solar installers to homeowners to help lower the cost of installing solar on private homes. So I'm happy to connect with you offline and get you more information.
Thank you. We're going to come around here again. Ask a question. If you start going, I'm just going to cut you off and give the mic to somebody else. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ask a question. Thank
Hi.
you.
Okay. My name is Karen Lewis, and I'm PTA president at PS 111. You've given a lot of money to our school. Thank you. My question is this. Our school is extremely hot. We have no circulation in the cafeteria.
Question.
Gym. Can we get more funding?
Okay.
We need money.
Now, see, she cut to the chase right there. God bless you. Tell me the school again.
PS 111.
111. Okay, I don't know the answer, but I do know this. This is a huge problem around the school system. You're saying you need air conditioning, right?
AC in the auditorium, the cafeteria, and the gym.
Those you say that's where you need?
Yes, that's
Okay.
what we need.
So 111.
PS 111.
Okay.
Seton Ford.
I will bring that back because the head of school construction authority was here, but she had to leave. We will get you an answer. I don't know the answer yet, but we will get you an answer.
Next question.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Muhammad Abdul Kareem and I'm a Muslim. I'm speaking on behalf of New World High School. My question is, I would like to know how you, Mayor de Blasio, would help protect Muslim, Black, Latinos, and all affected subgroups under this post-campaign environment.
Well, thank you for the question. And look, this is what I spoke about today. I did a speech to the city because I wanted to address this very same point. That we have, as New York City, so many powers of our own. And that we have our own police force, we have our own school system, we have our own laws. We're not going to participate in things that discriminate against people because of religion. We're not going to participate in an effort to mass deport people. We are going to set our own ground rules. If we think something is illegal, we will challenge it legally. We're going to take a very strong stance because we know who we are in this city. And particularly the notion of dividing people by faith and having people register because of their religion is absolutely against the values of this city.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. My name is Zico Gaynor. I am a retired veteran. And I just wanted to ask you, do you have a plan for all the homeless veterans? Because I see a lot of them on the street. And according to the Department of Homeless Service, there's about maybe 2,000 of them in New York City. So I just wanted to ask you if you have...
Well, thank God that number is a lot lower. A couple years ago, President Obama set a challenge for cities all over the country to end chronic veterans homelessness. This was the first part. Chronic veterans homelessness means when a person has been homeless on an ongoing basis. We managed to achieve that goal. And we focused on the veterans who had been homeless long-term and got them support. There are still hundreds, not 2,000, but hundreds of veterans who are waiting for housing who we are trying to serve right now. Our goal is to get that to zero or as close to zero as possible quickly. And we've made it a priority of our new Department of Veteran Services. The city now has its own Department of Veteran Services in the last year. One of the #1 priorities is getting veterans housing. So we do have a very aggressive approach. If you know of any veteran who needs housing and is homeless right now, we want to know about them so we can get them that help.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Councilman King. Can we get a traffic light on 224th Street and Barnes Avenue?
Well,
Ms. Navarro.
Has there been, do we know if there's been a study yet? Here, take that one.
I could talk to you offline and.
But say the address again.
224th and Barnes.
Okay.
Okay, I can check in and see if we're doing a study.
All right, we'll find out.
You
don't
need
know.
to talk to him offline.
Right. If you don't know the answer, we'll find out. We'll follow up with you.
Right here. Just ask your question.
So, I was just wondering if, you know, if our schools can improve school lunch because nobody eats it and everybody throws it out.
All right, we're going to do a survey. We're going to do a survey right now. What would you eat that you're not getting right now? Give him a microphone. I want to hear the voice of the people here. I'm going to ask you, okay, what do you want in your school lunch that we're not giving you right now?
So, I would like some, you know, some chicken tenders.
Can you talk up, please?
Oh.
I'm taking your order, damn it.
I want some chicken tenders, some pizza, let's see, some hamburgers.
A lot of health food, you're saying.
You know, some junk food,
Okay.
Some not reduced
What's your
fat
name?
chips.
What's your name?
Huh?
What's your name?
Marquise.
Say again?
Marquise.
Marquise.
Yeah.
Okay, Marquise, you in front of this whole audience told the mayor of New York City you would like us to serve you junk food for lunch. This is not working out, Marquise. Let's try again. Okay, what kind of food are we giving you now? Describe what you're getting now.
So we're getting some green ziti. We're getting some frozen pizza. Let's see, we're getting some raw chicken nuggets with pink inside of it. And, yeah.
You obviously had your message ready. Okay, so you want things that are more appetizing.
Yes.
Yes, but you know that we don't want to give you junk food. Can we find a compromise here where your food is not frozen or undercooked or pink or any of that stuff, but is also good for you? Can we find that compromise?
Well, can we at least make it like something that's not as green and pink?
Okay, what's the healthiest thing that you like to eat?
A very good fresh salad.
Ooh.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
We have a compromise. We will get to work on it.
Next. Right here. 1, 2, and we get ready to wind down, everyone. And also, after we do conclude, the commissioners and NYPD will still be around if your questions did not get answered. So you'll still have time to connect with everyone to answer your questions. There you go.
Hi, my name is Dr. Robbins. Welcome, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councilmember King. My concern is about education. I'm a 30-year retiree from the New York City Department of Education, and I'm very concerned about the mini schools inside of the schools, like the 6 schools in one building, particularly on the high school level, because I am born and raised in this city. I went to Morris High School. We were one building, one person. I mean, that's it. We all loved each other. I think
your question is?
The question is, have you done a study about the effects of breaking these schools down into mini schools?
Yes, I won't want to say a full study, but I do want to say your point is a very good point. So, look, the previous administration, as you know, had a huge focus on the quote-unquote small schools. And some of that was great, and some of that, we think, went a little too far. So that some schools became so small that you couldn't really make them work.
That's correct.
The current administration, come forward, Deputy Chancellor, is looking at those and in many cases saying, look, some of these are too small, we're going to merge them, we're going to reconfigure them. We're not scared, we're also not scared of big schools. We think a big school can be very effective as well. My son went to Brooklyn Tech. It is one of the largest high schools in America.
And Bronx Science, the senator was one of my students, Senator Jamal Bailey
He
was
turned out
my
good.
student. He was
So,
excellent.
Can you speak to this?
Yes, that's a very good question, and the mayor is correct. We're doing some merger. We're putting some schools together. But one of the best things that we're doing in schools that have large co-locations, we're bringing principals together. And you can see that happening at Lehman College, Lehman High School, for instance, where there are 6 schools. And the 6 principals are starting to work together, and they're joining resources. We're doing that in around 12 of our schools that are co-located. So even though we're not putting them under one roof as one school, We're making sure that the principals communicate with one another. They plan together. They're on the same bell schedule. Children can share different courses that are there. So if you're in one school and you don't have an AP program, you can take the AP program in the other class. So we're trying to do that. And we still have large comprehensive high schools around. And it's important, as you know, as an educator, that children should have choice. Some like big, some like small, and we should make sure that they're all quality. But we're doing a lot of that work, and you're right. We don't want principals to work in isolation anymore.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the question. Right here, this young man there.
Good evening. My name is Ferdinand Wright. I attend the Boston East Senior Center. My question is, it's on behalf of all the seniors that are present here this evening. Some have left. And it's to all the senior citizens in the Bronx. And this is to the mayor. Is it possible for you to reverse the decision made some years ago by Giuliani to make the basements illegal? All the basements in this area in the Plaza, they were made illegal. You couldn't rent them anymore because they were part of supplementing the income for senior citizens. Because it mostly impacts senior citizens. And they can't do that anymore. They lose out. Some of them probably lost their houses. Can you, in your capacity, reverse that decision so that they can start to rent their apartment? Because on the other hand, it will help to alleviate the housing problem.
I've got
Thank you.
Anyone from HPD here? HPD? Yes? Come on over. I'm going to start. So look, this is on the illegal basement issue. What I'll start, I'm not the expert as much as the representative of HPD, but look, one of the things we have hoped to do is to take the illegal basements and find a way to legalize them. In other words, address safety issues, health issues and all, and find a way to put those basements into the housing supply, but we have to do it the right way. And I know that was a vision we have that, and I can tell you for a fact, I don't think we've made enough progress on it yet, but can you speak to how you go about making an illegal basement legal?
Difficult question. So Don Shacknight from HPD, and there are several agencies that are involved. The big issue is, of course, maintaining safety for people who live in the basements. So there's actually a work group underway with HPD, the Department of Buildings, and the Fire Department to discuss these issues and see if there's a way to change the rules so that it's permitted in some circumstances when it can be made safe. The last thing we want to do is jeopardize the safety of the resident or the firefighters who may have to enter the building. So it's a balance, and you do have people from these different agencies working to find the right balance.
Talk to him offline if you got more questions.
Yeah, I can.
All right.
Like we can speak afterwards.
Yes,
I can give you my card and we can work on it together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Young lady.
Good evening, Councilman King, Mayor de Blasio. Can school safety expand their patrol area around IS 144 to 2 or 3 blocks beyond the school area and, and especially around the Bartow area where there's the bus stop.
IS 44, what did you say? I'm sorry.
IS 144.
144, my apology. Who's got IS 144? Who wants to speak to school safety? You can do a joint effort. Here's your microphone. There's your microphone. Step forward, please.
Hi, I'm Tavasha Huggins, the commanding officer for Bronx East School Safety, and we'd be more than happy to increase the patrol in the area 144. Any specific things going on there we should know?
Last week there was a altercation. School safety did respond, but it wasn't immediately. So the thinking in the neighborhood is when they're coming out, the students are coming out and they're coming toward Bartow area waiting for the buses. There are large groups of them waiting for buses and too many things start to happen. So if they just come out to where Bartow is, then the students will be able to safely go to each of their homes.
Okay, it's not a problem.
Okay.
So between the hours of 1 to 4:30 is when we have most of our deployment in and around the schools within the 4-7 precinct. So we coordinate with school safety. They pretty much take care of the perimeter of each schools, and we stretch from the school to the corridor that the children travel to and from home. And the deployment, again, is increased throughout that time frame. We utilize our NCOs, we utilize inside people, we sometimes utilize school safety officers who travel in vans. We also include transit. If there's a transit hub within the corridor from the school to where the youth travels, and we coordinate it that way. I just want to acknowledge our NCOs from each of the commands. They're all here. They're also involved in the deployment, and you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you to that program. I'm going to run down here, give him the mic, then I'm coming. Nope, that's it. Then we're going to go right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to start wrapping this up. And then we're going to make sure you have an opportunity to speak with everyone on this side. Yeah, you. I got
Hi. I invest in the community as well as I help out homeowners who are facing foreclosure. One big issue that we're seeing is there's many homes around the community that are vacant and they sit in limbo.
Your question, please.
What is being done about the homes that are sitting in limbo? Nobody is claiming ownership of them.
Is that to help me out, because I hadn't heard about this for this community? Where specifically, what part of the community you're seeing this in?
There's on many blocks, there's homes that either the homeowners or, they live abroad and they don't live in the area, they have the house running down. Then there's other homeowners that if you ask the bank, they don't own it. If you ask the homeowner, they don't own it. So it's just sitting there, just sitting in limbo.
I thank you for the question, Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind. I had this conversation down at City Hall to figure out how do we craft some legislation that will allow New York City workers to purchase these homes at a discounted rate so they don't stay vacant. Our district happens to be one of the largest foreclosure districts in the Bronx because of so many homes. So how do we manage the housing stock and protect home ownership? So I would like to sit down and talk with you or anyone in your administration to figure out how do we keep our community consistent with what it was built 50 and 60 years ago.
Okay, we'll set that up.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you for that question. Young man right here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Colin Tennille. When I was 17 in Mount Vernon, the 47th precinct came in pursuing someone, and I was assaulted. I almost lost my life. I have 4 sons now, and I want to know what training have you give your officers when pursuing criminals into neighboring cities and handling the citizens of those communities?
Thank you for your question.
So to hear the question again, you're saying what training is being provided? Is that the question? I'm sorry. Just here's a microphone right there.
What training are you giving your officers to handle citizens of neighboring communities?
Neighboring communities, okay.
When pursuing criminals.
Anyone from PD want to speak to a chief? There you go, right there.
Good evening. With regards to, we work with the municipalities in neighboring commands. The Bronx obviously has a lot of Yonkers, Mount Vernon and all. So the precincts that border have relationships with these municipalities. We share intelligence, we share information, and we share what's going on with crime trends. With regards to pursuing people, we have guidelines. The department has strict guidelines as to when we can and cannot pursue someone into another jurisdiction. I'm not going to go into a lot of it because it depends on the level of crime, the emergency, and things like that. But we are allowed under certain circumstances to pursue into another jurisdiction and take police action there. But we do work with the other agencies frequently.
Thank you. Thank you. We're coming over here, sister.
Hello?
Okay. Good evening. I just want to say, first of all, thank everyone for their dedication to the jobs that you do. It is extremely apparent to me, the hard work and the dedication. But I'll keep it moving. I am
Thank
a program.
you for that. You
yes,
are very
no,
kind.
I truly mean that. I'm a program coordinator for iRaise. We are a youth organization dedicated to the development of our youth. And we want to know any specific funding that's available to enhance mentorship and counseling programs. We currently are in some New York City public schools, but we have schools waiting for our
Your
services.
question is funding.
Yeah, so it's just what funding is available, pretty much.
Okay, so you're talking about mentorship and counseling for youth. Come on, Bill, speed it up.
Thank you.
There you go.
I'm Bill Chong, Commissioner of the Department of Youth and Community Development. Every year we give out funding opportunities. So I'll give you my card. You can email me, and then we'll connect you to the funding opportunities. You have to pre-qualify, and then when a funding opportunity becomes available for the specific service, then you can apply. Okay? So here's my card.
Thank you. Next.
Thank you, Councilman Andy King, for hosting this event. Mayor, thank you for joining us. My question is, I got family and friends that works for the Department of Correction, and I rarely see them. They work in doubles, sometimes triples. Is anything being done for that so I can see my family?
Absolutely, and I appreciate the question. Our officers at the Department of Correction have been working very, very hard. And we have been expanding rapidly the size of the classes in the Correction Academy so that we can alleviate the overtime problem. It's been very, very intense. So the commitment we've made, and it's a lot of resources, is to keep increasing the size of the classes being trained so we can stop having to rely on overtime so much. Situation, as you know, in corrections, and particularly at Rikers Island, there's been a lot of work we've had to do to reverse some of the historical trends and make everyone safer. That's finally starting to take hold because of a lot of reforms that were made. But one of the most important things is to greatly increase the size of the correction force so we will not have to rely on overtime.
Thank you, Winston.
Thank you, Mr. King, for having this event, in particular the missus for giving me her seat, Ms. King. Special shout out to her. Good evening, neighbors and constituents. My name is Ivan Boris. Welcome, Your Honor.
Your question?
Yes, I'm getting right to it. It's short. As a proud Bronx native, born and raised, I felt my borough has always gotten the short end of the stick in comparison to the other boroughs. My question is to you, assuming you will potentially rerun for mayor, what is your proudest contribution or initiative you have given the Bronx in particular?
Well, look, I am running for re-election. You will have plenty of time to talk about that. But the way I look at this, my mission was, again, to create a government that focused on all 5 boroughs, did not continue what I thought was an over-focus on Manhattan, and focused on working people and trying to address a lot of the inequalities we face. So I don't think about it like what's your most important Queens achievement or Bronx achievement or Staten Island achievement. The achievement that means the most to me is pre-K for all. There's no question. That's reached so many families already. And the Bronx has very, very powerfully benefited from it, every neighborhood of the Bronx. And the fact that it is something universal, which means every 4-year-old in the Bronx from this point on will know that their family will know they have that opportunity for free. So that's the thing I'm proud of, and we're going to do a lot more like that.
Brother Clinton.
Thank you, Councilman King. Mr. Mayor, welcome. The gentleman over here already partly asked my question. It's about correction. I'm a retired correction captain, 25 years. I retired June 30th. The overtime was out of control, and that's one of the reasons why I'm not there. But I'm just concerned about the violence. I left a lot of good people in there, and I'm concerned about the violence on both sides of the gate. Like I said, I left a lot of good staff there, and I want to make sure that they all get to come home the same way they went to work every day. And that's just my concern.
Well, look, I appreciate it. Thank you for all you've done for the city. I appreciate it very much. Look, that's why, the amount of investment we're putting into correction is extraordinary so that we could increase the classes so we could get a lot more officers in. what we've been doing in terms of providing tasers, what we're doing in terms of providing new training that officers didn't get in the past. All of these things, we're trying to fix the physical plant of a lot of the facilities. You know some of the things we've done to try and create specialized units to isolate some of the folks who are more violent. You know the things we've been trying to do to provide more programming during the day for the inmates, which we think does decrease violence. All that and more we're very committed to, but we've got to get that overtime down. There's no two ways about it.
Ms. Blount.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Andy King, Councilman.
That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Honorable, doesn't that sound nice?
My name is Kathy Blunt. I'm a 35-year, soon-to-be retired social worker. My question to you today, and I'll keep it as a question. Working for the child welfare system for most of my career, we kind of get a bad rap. And we have a large immigrant population. Most of us as social workers, we love the work that we do. We work with families and we care about our families. But the child welfare system can be very devastating. It has a real negative impact on our families. Once a family is brought into the system.
Time to ask for a question.
Okay. Oh,
we honor your good work, but we need a question.
It's a quagmire for them. They're kind of branded for life. What I want to say to you is it possible we can do more outreach to the community from your end, the mayor's end, the city council, to teach our families, to educate them, to do some public service announcements about the child welfare system, about child abuse, and how it impacts their lives?
Good question. Good question.
Well, look, I think we are trying, and it's something we've done periodically and we have to keep doing, to help educate people about how important it is to speak up if they see something, if they think there's any instance of child abuse in their, in their neighborhood anywhere. Excuse me, because we found when people feel a sense of investment in protecting children, it makes a real difference. If what you're saying, I'm not sure I fully understand, what you're saying is something to try and speak to people about how to go about bringing up children, I don't think we know how to do that well enough, but if it's about reporting child abuse or feeling responsible for it, okay, let me get you, just hone the question a little more, go ahead.
Not necessarily how to raise
do you want a dialogue?
Child.
Do you want a
I just
dialogue?
want to understand the question.
Not how to raise your child, but to educate the public about the laws in New York State. Since we have a large immigrant and a migrating population.
When you say, just real quick, so when you say educate them about laws, which laws? What are you trying to say?
The New York State child abuse
What
laws.
constitutes child abuse? That's what you mean?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's a good point. So you're saying help people understand how our laws work. Okay, I will bring that back. That's the first time I've heard that suggestion. That's a good one. Thank you.
Thank you. I have to come over here because she's been asking for the last hour. Go ahead.
Hi, good evening. My name is Anola Harding, and I'm an immigrant. I have the NYC ID, and you said you were going to protect us if Trump trying to get it. I want to make sure I hold you to your word that you're going to protect us as an immigrant.
Absolutely.
Because I have 3 kids here, 29, 26, 21, and I'm also a grandmother and a taxi driver. So I want you to protect me.
You're like the perfect New Yorker, grandmother and taxi driver. Okay, so yes, and the City Council shares this commitment, been very focused on this issue. When we did the NYCID, we did not ask anyone their documentation status to begin with. There's nothing in our paperwork that says what your status is. But we're further committed to making sure that all of the information you provided when you got your ID stays in our hands and does not end up in federal hands.
We are down to the last 3 questions. Dr. Ponder, Mr. Augusta.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alvin.
Ask the question.
Good to see you, Mr. Mayor, and thanks, Andy, for hosting this event. What is being done to address the enormously high rate of chronic childhood asthma? It is the largest in the city. and the death rates of chronic childhood asthma is one of the greatest in the country.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I think the first answer, and if our colleague from the health department wants to come over, you can join in. But the first answer is to try and improve the environment of this city overall. So we are committed to the goal of reducing all emissions in this city by 80% by the year 2050. We're going to have all of our city vehicles, our city cars are going to be electric cars going forward. We're going to have very stringent rules for our buildings to reduce the emissions coming out of them. We're putting a lot of investment into solar power for city facilities. There's a lot we're going to do to make the air cleaner, and that's one of the ways you have an impact in terms of asthma. In terms of public health programs, let me let our colleague from the health department speak to that.
The mayor already touched on a very important one, which is the outside environment. I'll add that another is the inside environment. Child spends many, many hours inside their home. If the home has mold or other things that are triggers for that child's asthma, that's a huge issue. So the health department is working closely with Department of Buildings, HPD. We have a model program in Harlem right now that works with the families and with their home environment. In addition to that, people probably know that we do a lot of work on childhood asthma in the school system. Again, children spend many, many hours in school. Almost every school has a school nurse. The school nurse works with the families and with the child to reduce really their triggers. We can't stop asthma, but we can control it, and that's really the important thing for parents to know, for families to know. So there's a lot of work being done. It's not perfect yet. There's still far too many hospitalizations for children, and we know their asthma could be controlled. But as the mayor suggested, we're working on many different fronts, and I'm happy to speak more online, offline, anywhere about childhood asthma. This is something that we can do something about.
Question.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, City Councilman, for this great forum. It's so important. Senator Ruth Hassel Thompson had helped put a program in to the Fulton Correctional Facility to try to decrease recidivism rates on formerly incarcerated people. What will the city do to increase those services? As you know, you inherited a very big, a very down economy, which you helped bring back up. Well, she was able to allocate state dollars to the formal, they closed the prison of Fulton Institution, and then they worked with the Osborne Association and other places that, to be a clearinghouse. So we're wondering, how we can get city services incorporated in that.
Okay, we believe fundamentally in trying to help people who are formerly incarcerated get back into the workforce, get support, obviously, in terms of city employment. We have banned the background checks on people so that we wouldn't be in a situation of discriminating against people because of the fact they were formerly incarcerated. In terms of how we're funding services, I don't know if any of the folks here happen to have that expertise. Greg, you want to speak to that?
I just want to clarify, are you talking specifically about jobs, employment for the formerly incarcerated? Okay, so we at SBS, we also run the Workforce One centers, and we actually have a center right here in the Bronx where we focus on the formerly incarcerated. We provide not only, we have over 100 companies that are willing to hire individuals coming out of the criminal justice system, and so we help them find jobs, but we also help them prepare for those jobs. So we do resume reviews, we help them prepare for the interview, and we do follow-up services. So I'll give you my card, and then we can talk on how we can partner together.
All right, we're getting ready to wind this up. Mr. Do you have a question? Otherwise, we're going to give the last question over here to the young girl. So, question?
I want to know, what do you have in place for certain communities where the influx of families are coming in, big buildings are coming up, so which means the population is really growing. But when you look at the buildings, the school buildings, for instance, my school, when a parent walks in and you have to turn a child, the child is being turned down because it's capped. But the building.
Which school are you in?
I am in the Tremont area. And we have a lot of buildings going up, but then the schools are the same buildings there.
Do you cover that or not? Wait. Where exactly? Which school?
It's Tremont.
East Tremont? You got that or not?
Area.
Come over if you got it. Come over. I got to convince all my commissioners to walk more. Walk.
Very far from east to west across the Bronx.
So is there a specific place where you're concerned? Because we definitely have a very focused effort to build school space where we need it, et cetera. And we don't have, in general, help me out, Superintendent, we don't have a lot of schools where kids are waitlisted for their own zone school. Where are you talking about?
I'm in a co-location school,
Which?
129 Capper.
Say again?
Capper 3 and 129.
Okay, so your question is about the question is really about are we expanding seats in certain districts?
Yes.
And so that really is a SCA question.
But she's saying there's a wait list, and I'm saying that's pretty rare in the city to have a wait list for a zone school.
What isn't rare is that when schools get capped, they get overflowed to other locations.
Okay.
And so in her school, if a sixth grader shows up, but the school has reached this cap, they have no room for additional sixth graders, the student could get capped and overflowed to another location. Is that what you're concerned about?
With some parents,
Yes.
Yeah.
So it also is dependent on where, what neighborhoods, what specific schools. In most cases, kids get into a school, right? So it's not like we have a bunch of students who are waiting for seats for schools. They get into a school, and the school that they're capped and overflowed from have an obligation when a seat opens up to pull the student back. I can also tell you that I know that the superintendents, because we've had this conversation in the Bronx, are really monitoring and making sure, because this is when we got to push it back on our families, that people are being honest about their addresses and about where they live, and so that when you show up at a school or the enrollment office, that you actually belong to that school.
Okay. Will you follow up?
Yeah,
follow up
I'll
directly.
follow up.
Thank you.
So the last question of the night goes to our teen, Triana, in the house. So Triana, you get to bless us with the last question of the evening.
Good evening. My name is Triana Ennis, and I attend a school, Bronx Charter School for Excellence, which is located in Parkchester. We have student Metro cards, and they're not provided with enough fares because we have to take, I have to take three transportations to get to my school and to come back, which is not enough. And when I don't have enough fare, people won't let me get on the ride and be able to go back home.
So you're saying your school, come on, Dorita, your school does not give you enough MetroCard to be able to actually get back and forth from your home. This one's an interesting question.
We do provide Metro cards, and I think that you need more than one Metro card. And you've spoken to the principal?
Speak into the microphone.
No.
You deserve to get a Metro card, and you need to. If it takes 3 buses or 3 trains, and you need more than one Metro card, they should give you another Metro card because we do that. We have enough Metro cards to give out every month. So you should ask the guidance counselor or the principal and let them know that this is a hardship. I need another Metro card.
Okay, do you have one of your cards?
I will give you
We're going to
my
make
card,
sure you get
okay?
your Metro card.
And then I'll
okay,
make
the
sure you
deputy
get a
chancellor
Metro
is going to
card.
make sure you get your Metro card.
Okay.
Okay.
So before we turn it over for the mayor for final words, we just want to thank everyone from our Edenwald, Gun Hill, Eastchester, Baychester, Co-op City, Olinville, homeowners, renters, the 12th District residents for coming out tonight for our first ever 12th District Town Hall. Put our hands together for our great mayor, Bill de Blasio!
Thank you, everyone. And put your hands together for your councilman, Andy King.
Leave these. We need the chair.